A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll take you to the home of Tim Collins, rookie fireman, where an important conference is about to take place. A plan session that involves Tim Collins, his 14-year-old brother Jimmy, and the guest of honor, Chief Cody. But first, here's some information to help you make some plans of your own. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the home of Tim Collins, rookie fireman, where Chief Cody sits in the living room with Tim. The chief, as an old friend of the family, has just been a welcome guest at the evening meal. And now Jimmy, Tim's 14-year-old brother, asks him,
Chief Cody, are you sure you can?
Oh, I know I can, Jimmy. You tell your mother that's the best cake I ever ate. But one more piece would finish me. Well, for the first time in my life, I don't think I could roll out for an alarm. What a meal.
Well, Jimmy and I'll have to roll out pretty soon.
Yep, as soon as the girls get the dishes washed.
The girls?
Mom and Trudy.
Yeah, they wash them. We wipe, Chief.
Oh.
You'll hear Trudy call us the minute it's our turn. As soon as it's time to wipe, Trudy taps in 5 bells.
With a couple of saucepans, Chief.
What?
Oh, these kids, they have more signals than the alarm center at headquarters.
What a pair. Well, that's why I need their help.
Help? Trudy and me?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, anything at all, Chief. Anytime.
Oh, hey, how about me? Aren't I in on this?
You certainly are, Collins. But let me give you the situation.
I bet I know what's on your mind, Chief.
Well, there's one thing that's always on my mind, Jimmy.
Uh-huh, fire prevention.
Oh, pipe down, Jimmy. Let Chief Cody talk.
Oh, he's right, Collins. Fighting fires by preventing them. That's the biggest part of our job.
Oh, yes, sir, but we can't get anywhere unless every man, woman, and child knows what a job it is.
That's it. We've got to get our story across to everybody.
Well, gosh, Chief. We kids in the Firefighters Brigade, well, we know the score all right.
Well, that's why I'm counting on you and Trudy and your friends, Jimmy. I'm going to put the fire department on display, and you're going to help tell people what it's all about.
I don't get it, Chief.
Well, son, in the old days, we used to have what we called a fireman's rally. Did you ever hear of it?
Well, fireman's rally?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure, Chief. Some places still have them, don't they?
What's a rally, Chief?
It's a special occasion. A day when every piece of fire equipment not in actual use was on display. When people could meet their firemen, see them in action, get an idea of what this firefighting is all about.
And you're planning a modern rally like that to let people get acquainted with the fire department.
Mm-hmm. The Park Commission will let us have all the land we want for a day. We'll show off a ladder truck, a pumper, all our special equipment. Now, what do you think?
Oh, it sounds perfect, Chief.
Better than a circus.
Good. And to explain the equipment, Jimmy, you kids from the Firefighters Brigade will act as ushers, guides, well, whatever you... Hey, what's that?
Oh, 5 bells. We roll. Come on, Tim.
Collins.
5 bells, Chief. That's Trudy banging the alarm for Jimmy and me.
Oh, yes, time to wipe the dishes.
Yes, sir. You sit here, Chief. We'll be right back.
Not a chance, Collins. Let me show you how I learned to wipe dishes when I was a youngster. Lead the way to the kitchen, son.
When Chief Cody makes a plan, action soon follows. Deciding to show the people of the city how a modern fire department operates, he sets the day for the Monster Fireman's Rally, assigns Jimmy Collins to organize the guide service of the Firefighters Brigade, and, on the day of the great event, he watches a vast crowd swarming across the grounds that have been placed at his disposal in the city
All right,
park.
boys, you know what to do there? You betcha. Oh, Collins.
Yes, sir.
Collins, pass the word to the Firefighters Brigade. Time to clear the crowd off the drill ground. We're ready to demonstrate how we tackle a fire.
Right away, sir.
Tim Collins cuts through the crowd in search of Jimmy. He makes for the center of the drill ground, where a wooden shack has been set up for demonstration purposes. And at the shack, he finds Jimmy explaining to an interested group.
Well, pretty soon they're going to set this shack on fire. Then you'll see just what happens. How the ladder truck comes along, and the axe men and the plaster hook men jump off.
One moment, young man.
Sir?
Plaster hook? What's a plaster hook?
Well, that's for pulling down a ceiling, sir, to see if there's fire above all the plaster and laths and stuff.
I mean, pull down the ceiling? That sounds destructive, young man.
Oh, no, sir. It's the fire that's destructive. Any damage the firemen do, well, you can just bet they had to do it to prevent worse.
Jimmy, it's time to clear the field.
All set, Tim. We're all organized. As soon as I blow my whistle.
Well, hey, you're organized, all right. Who thought of that?
Oh, I'm not so dumb. See, all over the field, the kids are moving the crowd back.
Another question, young man. On this ladder truck, axe men and plaster hook men, you say?
Yes, sir. When they roll up, there's a man with the door opener and another with the claw hook. 6 men, and they jump off.
6 men with all these tools, but no ladder. Why do you call it a ladder truck when there's no ladder?
Oh, yes, sir. Half of different kinds of ladders. Isn't that right, Tim? Over 500 feet of ladders.
Tim, who's Tim?
I am, sir. Tim Collins, this boy's brother, and... Well, aren't you Mr. Tennacombe?
I am that. Eustace Tennacombe.
Of the Tennacombe Towboat Company.
Do I know you, Mr. Collins?
Well, no reason why you should, sir. I knew you because of that fire at Tennacombe Dock a while back. How do you like our display?
Not satisfied. Something missing. Something seems to be missing.
Sir?
Never mind. I'll put my finger on it sooner or later. And when I decide what's missing, your chief will hear about it. You can be sure of that.
Yes, sir. I'm sure of it. Jimmy, take care of Mr. Tennacombe. Show him anything he wants to see, huh?
All right. Come along, young man. Now, just one more question.
Yes, sir. See you later, Tim. Coming, Mr. Tennacombe.
Something missing, he says. Well, I can't worry about that now.
Tim Collins checks hastily to make sure that the wooden shack is ready for the demonstration. Inside, Excelsior is scattered on the floor. Oil has been poured over it to make a quick blaze. The windows and doors are secure. Everything is ready. Tim looks across the field and sees that the crowd has moved back behind the ropes that mark the safety lines. He waits for the signal from Chief Cody. And at the signal, he lights a match, uses the match to ignite a torch of paper, and tosses the flaming brand through the door of the wooden shack. Fumes of oil burst into flame with a force that rattles the windows of the shack, and Tim Collins runs to safety because, as his brother Jimmy across the field is explaining to Mr. Tennacombe...
Gosh, that's dangerous. Tim's awful careful, but a place full of oil like that can blow up in your face.
What's all this?
Oh, the ladder truck. Remember I told you. Now what?
Oh, yes. All those men with axes. But they're not using them.
No, they're going to throw a ladder.
Throw a ladder?
Put it up, I mean. They've got to get up on the roof. See, there goes the roof ladder. They hooked it over the ridge of the shack.
Yes, but the fire's inside. Can't they see the door?
Oh, they don't dare open it yet. Gosh, if they opened that door, half the house might blow out. Fumes.
There's a man with an axe. Trust me, he's chopping a hole in the roof.
Yes, sir, to ventilate, to let out the gas and smoke.
Destructive, destroying property.
Oh, no, saving property.
Ridiculous. That man's amusing himself.
But don't you understand? He's got to let the smoke and fumes out so the men with the hose can get at the fire.
Hose? What hose?
There it goes. That's the pumper.
Hey, Carolyn, they're losing their hose. It's falling off.
Oh, no, sir. They let it run out on purpose. You'll see.
Now, that man there. Why does he wave his arms like a maniac?
Oh, he's calling for water, sir. The hose is all hooked up and they're ready to go in and...
Trust me, this time they mean business. They're at the door with the hose.
Yes, sir, they're going in. Now they'll knock it down.
Bravo! He kicked the door in.
They'll knock down the fire and...
Bravo! Hooray! Knock it down. Yeah, they're drowning the flame. Good! Do it again.
Well, Collins, what do you think? Does this crowd understand us better now?
Oh, they certainly do, sir. They've had a good look at our equipment, and they've seen us in action. Oh, but...
Huh? But what?
Well, how many people would you say turned out for this rally?
How many? Oh, good many thousand, Collins. Your estimate is as good as mine.
Well, then, sir, I'd say we put the story across to a good many thousand, Chief. A good many less one.
What are you talking about, Collins?
Eustace Tennacombe, Chief.
Tennacombe. Oh, yes, Tennacombe Towboat Company.
Yes, sir. He's here, sir. He had Jimmy in tow answering 60 questions to the minute.
Good. Tennacombe is the kind of man we want to reach. If he's in sympathy with our program...
I'm afraid he isn't, sir.
What?
No, sir. He looked over everything we had to show, sniffed in that superior way of his, and said there's something missing.
Oh, he did, huh? Something missing.
Yes, sir.
What's missing, Collins?
Well, he'll have to tell you himself, sir. He didn't say.
So he doesn't feel satisfied with our demonstration, huh?
There he is now, Chief.
Where?
Poking around the ruins of the demonstration.
Good. Come on, Collins. I'm going to interview Mr. Tennacombe. We'll find out what's missing, and maybe Mr. Tennacombe can supply it.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've had plans for him and his towboat company ever since that fire at the Tennacombe dock.
The Monster Firemen's Rally has done just what Chief Cody hoped it would do, to rouse people's interest in the problems of the fire department. And maybe it has done more, because it has opened the way for Chief Cody to talk with Eustace Tennacombe. He's long had a plan for using the Tennacombe Towboat Company to strengthen the city's defense against fire. For what happens when Chief Cody and Eustace Tennacombe get together, listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you boys and girls how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your friend, Chief Cody, with a special hint about how to handle a certain kind of fire. Now, suppose a fire starts in your kitchen on the top of the stove or in the oven. Almost always there is grease, and when that grease catches fire, you can't throw water on it, because water splashes the flaming grease far and wide. So throw on sand or salt to smother the fire, but don't take chances with water. Well, that's all for now. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear... That's it. Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters!
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Joseph Cotton in tonight's presentation of Suspense. 100 years ago, this week, a group of brave men risked their lives in a desperate effort to save their fellow men. Tonight, Autolite honors this centennial with a dramatic recreation of their attempted Arctic rescue. Our star, Mr. Joseph Cotton.
Hey, Harlow, what's in the package?
Ah, the world's best Christmas present, Hap.
Oh, for whom?
My car. It's an Autolite Stay Full battery, the famous battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
That sure is a real present.
Right you are, Hap. The Autolite Stay Full is always a real present for every car and every car owner, because money just can't buy a better battery. Why, the Autolite Stay Full has fiberglass retaining mats protecting every positive plate to reduce shedding and flaking and give longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards.
Where can I find this famous battery, Harlow?
Under the hoods of millions of cars and at your Autolite battery dealer. He services all makes of batteries, and you can quickly locate him by looking for the Autolite battery sign or just call Western Union by number.
And that's for Operator 25. I'll gladly tell you the name of your nearest Autolite battery dealer, where you can get an Autolite Stay Full.
The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite. And now, Autolite presents a dramatic recreation of Arctic Rescue, starring Joseph Cotton, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
Picture this if you can. Christmas night. Miles and miles of endless, empty, broken white ice. An ice floe drifting somewhere in the vicinity of the 73rd parallel north of the Arctic Circle. Nothing but ice. That is, nearly nothing. If you look carefully through the winter night, you'll see two tiny, dark blemishes, the figures of two men. One twisted in an unconscious heap is our skipper, Jonathan Blake. The other figure, Gerald Stewart, first mate, me. It makes a good, sorry picture. Civilized men in a primitive wilderness of ice waiting helplessly for death. Aye, a sorry picture. It's a far different picture you'd have seen if you'd been a part of the excited crowd standing at the battery on the New York waterfront on a June morning, the year 1852.
The moment of departure?
Aye, Lady Franklin, we must take the high tide.
May God and His great mercy protect you and your men from the perils which await you.
The men are prepared for hardships, Lady Franklin.
We shall succeed where the others have failed in ending the mystery of the Erebus and Terror.
Aye, and back to Aberdeen in time for a Christmas feast.
And we'll prepare a Christmas celebration your men will never forget, Captain.
We're leaving for England next week. I shall pray for you, Mr. Stewart. For all of you.
Thank you, Miss Craycroft. I'll stand many a watch out at sea thinking of last night, the ball, dancing, and you. That is, all of us will.
What my first mate is trying to tell your niece, Lady Franklin, is how grateful the officers and crew are for the farewell ball you held in their honor last night.
I'm the grateful one, Captain Blake. Please bring them all home safely.
Oh, come now, Lady Franklin, no need for worry. The Jessica's a sturdy ship, and the men are in good health and lofty spirits. We'll be back by Christmas, you'll see. Tide will change. We must be on our way.
Then goodbye and good luck, Captain.
Goodbye, Lady Franklin. Miss Craycroft.
Goodbye, Captain Blake. Goodbye, Mr. Stewart. Godspeed.
Thank you. We shall see you in Aberdeen Christmas week.
Let's get aboard, Mr. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Bye, Lady Franklin.
Darky?
Yes, sir.
Drop the gangway.
Yes, sir. All hands at their mooring stations, Mr. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Then pass the orders to cast off.
Aye, sir. All hands, prepare to cast off.
All hands, prepare to cast off.
Let go 1 and 2.
Let go 1 and 2.
Let go 3 and 4.
Let go 3 and 4.
Ship's underway, sir?
Aye. Well, Mr. Stewart, fill your eyes with the sight of New York. The last of it you'll be seeing for some time to come. Aye, good long time.
I am, sir. As the Jessica moved slowly to the outer harbor, I watched a tiny, delicate white dot in the crowd at the wharf. She stood there beside Lady Franklin, waiting. And I watched until the morning fog erased the sight of the New York waterfront. Aside from the ship's log, I've decided to keep a running account of this voyage. This account will be transferred to a watertight jar and thrown into the current should any sudden disaster occur. The first 3 weeks of navigating north were merely a matter of settling down to ship's routine. On June 30th, after officers' mess, we sighted Point Farewell on the Greenland coast. The time had come for the captain to read a letter of instructions given to him by Lady Franklin.
Captain Blake, I'm sure you will do all that any man can in discovering the fate of my husband, Sir John Franklin, and his 2 ships, the Erebus and Terror. But my only fear is that you might sacrifice your lives in the unknown regions of the Arctic. Therefore, let me state that above all else, the preservation of the lives of you and your heroic companions is more important to me than the purpose of your journey. May God in His great mercy preserve you all from harm amidst the perils which await, and restore you to us safely and in health, as well as honor. Your sincere and attached friend, Jane Franklin. Well, these are the only written instructions I have, gentlemen. Now then, Mr. Stewart, the map, please.
Yes, sir.
Well, There it is, gentlemen, the most recent Admiralty map of the Arctic regions that we are approaching.
It's almost completely blank.
Aye, Mr. Halliday, thousands of miles of uncharted wilderness.
And somewhere in that frozen tundra, Sir John Franklin and his men vanished.
Aye. Our search will begin tomorrow when we drop anchor in Godhab. We'll pick up our ice pilot, Mr. Patrick Hansen, some additional supplies, and then make for the Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle? Sounds like the edge of the world, eh, Stuart?
Yeah, a little frightening, too.
You frightened?
Mr. Halliday, if I were you, I'd respect Mr. Stewart's stare for what lies before us.
Captain, I was just thinking. If Franklin was looking for the Northwest Passage, he'd probably make an approach through, here. Through Lancaster Sound.
Ah.
Then he must have passed Pond's Bay, here. And according to our information, they're Eskimos at Pond's Bay. They might have seen his ship enter Lancaster Sound.
If they did, then we'll have something to go by.
I hope Mr. Hansen understands the Eskimo dialects. They can tell us much.
I don't see how we can cover all this territory and get back by Christmas, Captain.
We have no choice, Mr. Stewart. If we get caught beyond the Arctic Circle after the summer months, we may never get back.
Never?
Aye. In the winter, the seas are covered with great ice floes. Once a ship is frozen in those latitudes, it'll stay there until the summer thaw. You can't imagine the horrors we'd endure in an Arctic winter, Mr. Halliday.
I suppose not.
Franklin and his men were probably frozen in for the winter.
And they were never heard from again.
Exactly. Well, that'll give you a brief idea of what we're in for, gentlemen. We'll know more after Mr. Hansen comes aboard. Any questions?
I have nothing but questions, Captain.
I wish I had the answers, Stewart.
Noon the next day, we dropped anchor in the harbor at Godhab. Here we would take on coal, additional winter clothing, dogs, and Eskimo drivers, and Mr. Hansen, our ice pilot. Godhab was nothing more than a few huts of the Baffin Bay Trading Company, and as we prepared to go ashore, a longboat suddenly appeared alongside.
Captain Blake?
Aye?
And Patrick Hansen, your ice pilot, sir.
We were about to send a boat ashore for you, Mr. Hansen.
No time for that, Captain.
But we planned on picking up supplies and dogs.
I brought them. They're in the boat.
Well, what's the rush, Mr. Hansen?
Oh, this is Gerald Stewart, my first mate.
You never been in the Arctic before, Mr. Stewart?
No.
Take my word for it. You better get up there while we got the summer weather, you bet.
All right, so we run into a little summer ice. The Jessica's prepared for that?
Yeah, she looks like good, strong ship.
Hey.
You've never seen iron ship up here before. And steam engine, too.
That's not all the Jessica has. There's additional iron plates across her hull, as well as added bracing forward-ship, and the forward 10 feet of the bow is solid iron and razor sharp at the edge. What do you think that'll do to your ice, Mr. Hansen?
You wait and you see what the ice can do to a ship. Even an iron ship, Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Hansen, you received my letters.
Yeah.
And you made inquiries about the Erebus and Terra?
Yeah, they was here. They couldn't get dogs, so they headed for Pond's Bay.
Across Baffin Bay?
That's right.
Just as we thought. Mr. Halliday.
Aye, sir.
Get those supplies aboard, then prepare the ship to sea.
Right away, sir.
At once. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
You can chart a course for us. We'll cross the Arctic Circle next and on to Pond's Bay.
We set a north by northwest course, leaving the last outpost of civilization behind us, and crossed the great Baffin Bay. On July 4th, we crossed the Arctic Circle without ceremony. Then we had ice freezing on deck and in the rigging. A day later, we saw our first floating iceberg. For this time of year, we should not have seen either one. From Godhab to Pond's Bay, 6.5 days, perfect calm. Upon landing, we found a small contingent of Eskimos, but nothing else. They seemed hostile and would give us no information. Then, as we were preparing to return to the Jessica, one of the natives, a girl, rushed from one of the huts and down to the beach.
Hostess?
Oh, what's she saying, Mr. Hansen?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Captain, look. She has something in her hand. She wants us to look at it.
Small brass button.
From a naval uniform.
Aye. See, she'll trade it for some sewing needles.
Hostess? Galaga?
Well, what does she mean by that?
Hostess?
Joseph. She's trying to say man's name.
Hostess? Galaga?
Joseph Gallagher? Stewart, is that name on Sir John's crew list?
I'm Looking, Susan. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's here. Quartermaster Joseph Gallagher. They've been here.
Aye. Better get back to the ship, man. Looks like a gale brewing.
Jose?
Oh, better keep the button, Stuart. Give her the needles, too.
Yes, sir.
Jose?
After leaving Times Bay, 2 months passed without incident. Then we entered Lancaster Sound and approached the scarcely charted islands along Barrow Strait. There we encountered great mountains of floating ice, and we had only a few hours of twilight each day. We crossed the 75th parallel and north into Wellington Channel to Bathurst Island, the last of the charted islands on my map. Then on September 10th, weather changed. Northwest gales, sleet, and heavy fogs that forced us to a bare crawl, and even worse, mammoth ice floes that closed in all around us.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Keep an eye on the temperature.
I am, sir.
Ice! Ice! Dead ahead!
Quartermaster, starboard 6 degrees.
Lead should been getting smaller all the time.
Captain, the temperature is still dropping. 10 above zero.
What do you think of this lead, Hanson?
I think maybe they better back out of here.
Back out? Take a look at stern, Hanson. Back out where?
Captain.
Oh, what is it, Howler?
The rudder will not respond.
6 below, sir.
Ice! Dead ahead!
The lead is getting smaller, Captain.
Aye. Well, the Arctic seems to be closing down on us on all counts.
The walls of the lead moved in closer until a man could jump to the ice from either side of the ship. And then the Jessica was cutting through the ice, making her own lead, but slowly we lost speed. Finally, the ship gave up to the ice.
He frozen in now.
Aye. Stop engines, Mr. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Well, Captain Blake, looks like they can forget about looking for Sir John Franklin in his ships. Now that we're frozen in, we're going to have to look out for our own lives, you bet.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Joseph Cotton in Arctic Rescue, tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and outside the door, a man was trying his starter once more. But try as he would, the car wouldn't go, for the battery was dead. Out of water, you know.
That man should have had an Autolite stay-full battery, Harlow.
Right you are, Hap. There's the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Because the Autolite Stay Full has over 3 times the liquid reserve of batteries without Stay Full features. And, in addition, it has fiberglass retaining mat protecting every positive plate to reduce shedding and flaking and give longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards. Money just can't buy a better battery. So, friends, see your nearest Autolite battery dealer. He services all makes of batteries, and he has an Autolite Stay Full for your car if a replacement is needed. Just call Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25.
And I'll tell you where you can get an Autolite Stay Full battery. The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Joseph Cotton in Elliott Lewis' production of Arctic Rescue, a true story well calculated to keep you in suspense.
September 10th, 1852. Unless a miracle occurred, we were frozen in the Arctic for the rest of the winter months. A sea of ice surrounded us, and the ship took on a starboard list from the pressure of the floe. Rations were cut in food, water, and coal consumption. Furious gales came and went. and there were more freezing temperatures, often as low as 35 below. The doctor was a busy man. Nearly all hands suffered from frostbite, many from gangrene. Conditions aboard the Jessica were deplorable. I thought they couldn't get worse. October came, November, December, and we thought of home and the holidays and of Lady Franklin and Miss Craycroft sitting alone at the Christmas feast that was to be held in our honor. On Christmas Day, the cook outdid himself. We had a feast aboard the Jessica on the last of the salt pork and beef. And with the last of the Alsop ale and minced meat, the cook made pies. And we had as a celebration Christmas Day, 1852. Men, the captain has a word to say.
I dropped below to offer you my greetings on this holiday and to wish you a much happier Christmas next year.
Thank you. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright.
Christmas Eve, 1853, 1 year later. We're still frozen in. Summer came and passed without an appreciable rise in temperature, and the ice failed to break up. Men living on pemmican, occasionally bear meat and seal blubber. No more lime juice, this means scurvy. The year also saw the loss of 11 men, the doctor and the ice pilot Hansen among them. 2 in a chase with a full of air, 3 from scurvy, and the rest from gangrene. Most of the men have frostbite. Our second Christmas in the Arctic. The floe that holds the ship is drifting south down Peel Sound. We saw the shores of King William's Island. And the captain sent Halliday and 3 men on sledge to look for food depots or rock cairn, anything. They returned today.
Where'd you find it, Halliday?
In a cairn. We also found empty pemmican cans and bits of ship's timber.
Sure. Listen to this. It was written by Franklin himself. 1851, latitude 69 degrees, longitude 98 degrees west. HMS Terror sank when ice broke. Erebus still frozen in. Beset since April 12th, 1850. We are deserting the Erebus. Attempting overland march to Baxfish River, to Hudson's Bay. If unheard from when this found, we must be considered lost. Sir John Franklin, Captain HMS Erebus.
We've found what we came for.
Aye.
They're all dead.
Aye.
If something doesn't happen pretty soon, we'll be dead, too. Makes for a very Merry Christmas, Captain. Captain.
I heard it. It's the ice. Breaking.
How long do you think our iron plates will last against this, Captain? Great cracks opened in the ice. Then out of the water through the openings, another great mountain of ice would rise. Great slabs of 100 yards wide, shattered, upended, and sank into the churning water. All around us, great jagged fingers of ice crashed. All hands abandon the ship!
Do it! Get your chops. We're going out on the ice, too.
Yes, sir. I could feel the ship jarring loose under me, and suddenly the Jessica read sharply, throwing me across the deck. The last sound in my ears was that of the Jessica carried loose from the ice. Slowly, I became aware of pain in my leg, then of movement. I opened my eyes. The captain was helping me to walk. I looked into the winter darkness, the familiar sight of the Jessica. I saw nothing. Nothing but ice. Skipper.
Huh? No feeling better, lad?
What about the ship?
Gone down.
And the rest of the men?
I don't know. Gone. The floe separated. Most of them were on the other side.
Where are we walking to?
I don't know. I don't know.
We walked on and on, climbing jagged hummocks of ice and falling through thin spots. Legs got wet, froze. We beat the ice off, and we kept walking in circles through the Arctic night. Endless circles. We'll rest a bit.
Let's rest. Sleep. A bit in the ice. Warm, comforting ice.
No, don't sleep. My eyes grew heavy. I craved sleep. But the sleep was to die. I was ready. In the sky over the horizon, a star. The night was overcast. There were no other stars, just one. Bright in the distance. I could see it. I stood. It was still there. A bright star over the horizon. Captain! Up! On your feet, Captain! We're going to keep walking. Walking? Where? There. That way, toward that star. We walked on, slowly. I carried this unconscious now. What could it be? There are no lights in the Arctic, no stars through the overcast. But we kept moving, and the star came closer. I couldn't believe what suddenly appeared. Through the darkness directly beneath the star was the vague outline of a ship. A ship. Mate! Mate, help! Help me!
He's coming out of it. Steward. Steward.
The ship. I saw Starkey. Halliday.
In the flesh.
I saw a ship.
I know. You're on it. See?
But where did it come from? Not the Ithacus.
I know. That's the Erebus, one of Franklin's ships.
The one they deserted.
Erebus. Where did it come from?
Well, there we were. All of us, except you and the captain lying on that flue after the Jessica went down, ready to die just as we thought you had. And then just as graceful as you please, we see a ship drifting slowly out of the fog through the broken ice, right to us.
But the captain, I left him out on the ice.
All right. We brought him aboard, and pretty soon we'll be on our way home.
Home?
Aye. The ice is open. We can get out. The Erebus will take us back. Now, how's that for a Christmas surprise?
I followed the star.
What?
He's sleeping. What was that he said? He followed the star?
Aye. He must have seen that lantern we hung from the mainmast, mistook it for a star.
Oh.
Saved his life. And the captain. Well, being that it's still Christmas, I guess you could call it a miracle, eh, Starkey?
Aye. I guess you could at that, sir.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Joseph Cotton.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. They are members of the Autolite family, as well as are the 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our family also includes the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and Autolite plants in many foreign countries, as well as the 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite. Every Autolite product is backed by constant research and precision built to the highest standards of quality and performance. So remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, a story from your morning newspaper. The dramatic expose of narcotics peddling among teenagers, as reported in Melody in Dreams. Our star, Mr. John Lund. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lutz Luskin. Arctic Rescue was written for Suspense by Gus C. Bays. Featured in tonight's cast were Joseph Kearns, Norma Varden, Lillian Baez, Fred Mackay, Barney Phillips, Clayton Post, and Ben Wright.
Joseph Cotton can currently be seen in the Burt Friedloeb production, The Steel Trap, a 20th Century Fox release.
Remember next week, John Lund in Melody in Dreams.
$8 million Americans are suffering from arthritis or rheumatism. Recent medical discoveries have given these people hope of cure from this crippling disease. You can help make this hope a reality by mailing a contribution to Arthritis, care of your local postmaster. Friends, on behalf of the entire Autolite family and all of us on Suspense, this is Harlow Wilcox wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas. Good night. This is the CBS Radio Network.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Lights Out, a summer revival of the famous series which many of our listeners will remember. Tonight's story, the sixth in the series, is called The Ghost on the Newsreel Negative.
Lights out, everybody. This is the witching hour. The hour when dogs howl and evil is let loose on a sleeping world. Sit in the dark now and listen to Lights Out.
Well, where do you suppose we are, Martin?
How do I know where we are? You're the driver.
Yeah, I'm the driver. Only you're supposed to tell me where you want to go, you know.
I told you.
Yeah. You know what you said? You said we're going to a farm out on Route 330, about halfway between Dundee and Algonquin.
I remember, yeah.
Uh-huh. And I'm supposed to be a mind reader.
Sure you are.
Well, I would be if you had a mind to read.
Nuts, Mr. Witt.
And nuts to you, Mr. Barnett.
Well, ain't we about there?
How do I know?
Oh, I should have known that.
Well, you're a wise guy. You're the great cameraman. You know everything.
Oh, shut up.
Well, look, we're about halfway between Dundee and Algonquin now. The sign at Dundee said 5 miles to Algonquin, and the speedometer said 93331.
It says 93333 now.
Goody, you can read. Now listen, half of 5 is 2.5.
Yeah, that's right.
And 93,331 to 93,333 is 2 miles.
Yeah.
Therefore, Mr. Barnett, I'll bet you that place right up there is the place where we're going.
Huh? What place? Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Now we got that settled. What are we going to do when we get there?
I am going to make a story, and you're going to catch the noise on it.
You killed me, Martin.
All right. Now?
Huh? No. I mean, what kind of story?
Ghosts.
Ghosts? or goats?
Oh, I know that story. Ghosts. Hey, do you believe in ghosts, Wick?
Well, I ain't ever seen one.
But don't let that worry you. You're gonna.
Says you.
Go on, driving that gate there. Oh, that one, dummy.
I got it. Where's these ghosts?
Don't you ever read the papers?
I don't get enough money to buy papers. What's it about?
This here... Hey, stop right there, I guess. This here's the ghost fund.
Yeah? So what?
So? We come to make pictures of the ghosts. Set up about here, I guess, where we can get the old house and the barn in a picture. I'll go see if I can find anybody.
There don't seem to be anybody around.
Must be somebody. I'll go see.
Don't get bit by a ghost.
I won't. Here, let's make it as snappy as we can, huh? So we can get back to town.
What's the matter? Ghost getting you, pal?
No kidding. Did you ever see such a deserted-looking dump? I wouldn't be surprised if a ghost jumped right up out of the ground.
What you fellas want here?
Where'd you come from?
I was right around on the other side of the wagon. What you want here?
I'm Martin Barnett of Paragon News. This is, Whit, my noise catcher. Hello.
What you want?
Well, is this the, ghost farm?
Ghost farm? Where'd you get that idea?
Well, papers.
Oh, yes. All them silly stories in the papers. Yes, I guess this here is the place you're looking for. What you want?
Well, we want to make some newsreel pictures. You know, movies. I was looking for Mr. Tracy.
Tracy?
Yeah, guy owns the place.
Oh. He ain't here.
Hey?
No.
Well,
maybe this guy, gentleman, can tell us, Martin.
yeah. Say, about this ghost business.
Is it a real ghost, mister?
Is there a real ghost here? Do you know anything about it?
Do I know anything about it? I am the ghost.
Gosh, he scared me out of 6 years' growth. He said he was the ghost man.
What about me? I swallowed my chewing tobacco.
Doggone old fool.
He's got the dirtiest laugh I ever heard in all my life.
Ain't he, though?
I wish he'd come back. I want to get the story made and get back to town before it gets dark.
You better if they're going to get out a special on it tonight.
Yeah. I don't know why Red don't think of these things soon enough. He gets these brainstorms all of a sudden, then he wants to get stuff out for every theater in Chicago by 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
And the great Barnett has to go out and shoot him. So shut up and wind up your Kodak.
Oh, nuts. Uh-oh. Here comes old Screwy again.
It's about time.
Hey, Wick, what exposure would you give out here?
About 4 or 5, I think. It's getting kind of dark.
I think 5, 6 would do it.
You're the cameraman. If you don't get your shots, it's you Red'll murder.
Maybe it better be 4 or 5.
Well, are you ready to make your movie pictures now?
Yeah, if you are.
What do you want me to do?
Well, first I want a shot of the house and the barn. So you better go back and come walking out of the house, and I'll pan after you while you walk to the barn. Then you can come over here, and I'll make an interview. Hey, Whit, you can talk to him, huh?
I suppose so. I don't get paid for it, though.
Oh, nuts. Go ahead, mister.
Hey, just walk out of the house to the barn, eh?
Yeah, that's right. I'll holler for you to come out.
Yes, all right.
Gosh, that laugh of his is enough to scare anybody.
No wonder people think he's a ghost.
He's nuttier than a fruitcake.
So what? So are we. And we get out of the newsreel business.
He's waiting for you, hotshot.
Oh, you all set?
I've been all set for an hour.
Oh, all right. Here we go. Go ahead, mister. Okay?
Okay.
All right, come on back, mister.
Don, if you don't look like a ghost.
This whole place looks ghostly enough for me. I'll be glad when we get back to town.
Me too.
Did you get it? Did you get my picture?
Sure, we never miss.
Much.
What do you want me to do now?
Well, look, you stand there. No, there. That's it. Listen, when I start the camera, you just tell in your own words how you do this ghost business, will you?
You want me to talk?
Yeah, that's it. Set the microphone over closer, Whit.
Yes, Mr. Barnett.
Put it on the running board.
Yes, Mr. Barnett.
You just want me to talk, huh?
That's it.
I just tell how I'm the ghost, and what I do, and everything, huh?
Yeah. And then in a minute or two, Mr. Whit will step up alongside you. He'll ask you some questions. All you got to do is answer them, see?
You say what's what, huh?
That's it. Just say, what's what? I'll motion to you, Whit, when you're to step in.
What'll I say?
Oh, you think of something to say. You're a smart sound expert.
It's nuts. I ain't getting paid for that.
You do as you're told.
Yes, Mr. Barnett. Yes, Mr. Barnett.
Shut up.
Yes, Mr. Barnett.
You ready, Mr.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Well, okay, now. Do that there dirty laugh of yours. Go ahead. Now? Yeah, now. I'm running.
Yes, sir. I'm the ghost. I'm the ghost that haunts this here place. You want to know how I do it? Well, sir, at night I go around and look into windows. When people see me staring in with my eyes all wide like this, when they see me, they scream and shiver and like to pass out. Yes, sir. I'm a ghost. A doggone good ghost, if you ask me.
Go ahead, Whit.
And how long have you been haunting this farm, Mr. Ghost?
More years than you'd think I've been a haunting it. Yes, sir.
Is that so? Well, you suppose you could give us a sample of your very ghostliest laugh?
I sure can. You like that?
That's fine. And do you believe in ghosts yourself?
Do I? Do I? I am a ghost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's enough. My gosh, mister.
What's the matter? I scare you?
I don't scare you, see?
You don't, huh? Well, what's that behind you?
Oh, talk on your way.
What's that behind you?
Huh? Look, mister, I'm sorry.
Don't do that again.
I won't, and don't do any more of that laughing again, mister.
What's that?
That's my sister.
Your sister?
Sure. She helps me haunt the place.
Have you got a sister?
Sure. She's in the house there. She's bedridden, though. She ain't been out of bed for 29 years.
She ain't?
No. She screams right well enough, though, don't she?
She sure does.
Hey, Martin. Listen, that would make a swell shot, too. The old gal and him in that old rattle-trap house.
Yeah. Only how are we going to do it?
Well, I'll put some photo floods in a reflector and run them off the battery, huh?
Well,
Yeah. You want to take some pictures of my sister?
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Whit.
Sure, this ought to be a swell... Me?
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, Wait till I get the lamps.
Yeah. She'll be tickled, my sister will. She ain't had her picture since she was a little gal.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, what if Fred doesn't like this story?
Go ahead. Shall I take the sound on this, too?
Might as well. Got a long enough line?
Yeah. You go ahead with the camera.
Step right this way, mister.
Martin, suppose the old gal's as nutty as he is.
Boy, am I going to be glad to get out of this.
Yeah, me too.
Right in here. Careful of the back porch. The boards is kind of rotten. Ellie, I brung a couple of young fellers. Wants to take your picture.
That's fine, Stanley.
I'll hold the door open. Go ahead.
Here, feller. Kind of dark. We ain't got no electric lights.
Which way now?
Right in here.
Careful you don't bump yourselves.
Yeah. Where are you, Whit?
I'm coming.
It got no lights at all?
Not a darn thing.
Well, hurry up with them photo floods, Whit.
I'll be right there.
You brung your own lights, mister?
Yes, ma'am. I hope they won't blind you. They're pretty bright.
Ow! Oh. Shall I set him up here?
Get off my foot!
Oh, is that your foot?
What'd you think it was?
I thought it was a suitcase.
You be careful now. Stanley, you tell him to be careful. I don't want you to set fires or nothing.
They'll be careful, Ellie.
This is the darkest place I've ever been in my life.
Do you think I like it? Where's your lights?
Don't set fire to nothing.
We won't.
Just a minute now.
Gonna have my picture took.
You can talk whilst they're making the picture, Ellie.
Gonna make a moving picture of me.
All ready, Martin.
All ready. Turn your lights on. There ain't anybody there.
Oh, my.
Now, just be patient. She may...
There sure is.
That voice. I've heard her.
Don't you boys worry now. Them lights may be just a little bright. Ellie never was one to shine out very strong.
Martin, what do we do now? I know what I want to do.
Start making your picture. That's what you come in here for, ain't it?
Picture what?
Why, Ellie, of course.
But there's nobody there.
Well, I guess there is. If you don't believe me, just look at these covers.
Martin, no, those covers, they move. Yeah, I saw it.
There, young man. Maybe that'll convince you. Well, let's get on with it.
Yeah, thanks.
Stanley, is my hair all right?
Sure, Ellie. Looks real pretty.
Look, mister, are you sure?
Young man, I'm losing my patience. You wanted to come in here and take pictures of my sister. Well, take it.
But I don't see anything.
She's there, just as plain as the nose on your face. Plainer than your nose.
Well, but...
I think you'd better take the picture. It's just the might disappointed in you. Hate to have to start haunting you two.
No. We'll take the picture. Whit, you get ready to make the interview and I turn him over.
Okay. But how can I ask questions of someone that isn't even there?
I'm still here, young man.
Hey, never mind, Whit. Just stand by. Okay. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Would you mind telling me your name?
I sure would.
Thanks. Well, can you tell me just how you go about this haunting business?
No, I don't mind.
Well, I mean, how do you do it?
Well, first I start off by being invisible.
You mean like you are now, you mean?
Ain't I showing at all?
No, you ain't showing.
Yes, like that then. And then when I find someone I want to scare, I just make myself visible like this. And then I scream like this.
Can't we go any faster? Shut up. I'm scared myself now. Don't use that word. All right. We'll be back in town now. I never thought the day would come when I'd be glad to see Warback Avenue. What happened to you back there? I don't know. She screamed. The lights went out. Then I started running. Fine thing. Well, what did you do? I just grabbed the camera, started running. That was better, huh? Well, at least I have the camera. Well, if Red told me you're sending me out on another assignment like this, I'll quit. And if we don't get a bonus for this strip of film, I'll quit too.
Where's the film?
Here, Red.
Here, Harold. Get this in the soup and make it snappy. Okay, Red. Soundtrack on it, Martin?
The soundtrack on it? Wait, I think so.
You think so? You think so? What's a double barrel?
I think it is, Red. Red. You got a drink?
What's the matter with you two Lucas?
Yeah. You tell him, Martin. You tell him, Martin.
Didn't you get the picture? Go on there, Harold. Get that film into the soup and don't turn on no red lights either. That's Super 8. Okay, Red. Well, speak up. What's the matter with you? Didn't you get the story?
I think we got it, Red.
You think so, huh?
We got it, Red. We got it. Can we have a drink?
There's the water cooler.
Oh, Red.
All right, there's a bottle in my desk.
Come on, Red.
Wait a minute. What's this all about?
Red, that place. It's the Wills.
Well, ain't that just dandy? Did you see a ghosty-wosty or something, Martin?
Gosh, Red, we sure thought we did. I should say so.
Well, it's just ducky. So what? You person sucking on a bottle? If you had...
No, I haven't had a drink.
Well, what happened then?
Well, listen, Red, I'll tell you. That old guy out there.
What old guy out where?
The old guy out at the ghost spot.
Oh, what about him?
He tell him, Martin. Yeah. He's the scariest looking guy you ever seen. He's our old screwy guy. Nuttier than a noise catcher.
Shut up.
And he's a ventriloquist.
Never mind his religion. Go on.
Well, he's the ghost. He goes around and hollers, boo, and he looks just like a real ghost.
And he scared the dickens out of it. Wait a minute now. One at a time. What did he do?
Well, that darnest thing, he'd almost taken us into the house where he said his sister was.
And we could hear her talking to him.
And him, too.
And when I turned on the lights, there was nobody
there.
What?
It's a fact, Red. He run out on us or something.
Have you been drinking again when I told you that?
Telephone. Take it on number 25.
Okay. Wait right here, you two. Hello. Turn on. Oh? This is Red Calvater. Oh, hello, Mr. Casey. What? Say that again. Oh, they did, huh? They're right here now. Yeah, both of them. Sure, wait a minute. Where did you birds say you'd been this afternoon?
Well, at the ghost farm, Ray. At the ghost farm.
You're sure about that?
Well, sure, of course we were there.
They say they were there all afternoon, Mr. Tracy. Huh? Well, call me back in about 10 minutes. I'm going to find out about this. Okay. Yeah. Now, you two monkeys, what's this all about? You're trying to rib on me?
What's the matter, Red? Yeah, what's the matter, Red?
That was Tracy, the guy that owns the ghost farm. He said he's been waiting since 11 o'clock for you two to show up. And there ain't been a sign of a newsreel man out there all day. So what's the answer to that one?
I said we were there. Sure we was there.
Well, we'll find out whether you were there or not in about 2 minutes. You birds are kind of... Hey, Harold, how about that film?
Just coming out of the dryer, Red. Will I have to get ready for the print?
No, bring the negative in here first and run it through the movie over.
Oh.
Oh, it could have been at the wrong place, Red. The old guy said he was a ghost. Yeah, sure he did. He darn near proved it, too.
Yeah? Well, we'll see.
I tell you, Red...
You ain't telling me nothing. Listen, you make a shot of that interior?
What interior?
The interior where you say you heard the old lady and then she was gone.
Oh, that interior.
Did you make a shot of that?
Well, yeah. We started to shoot. We got it about 50 feet when all at once this gal screams. Our lights go off. So we just grabbed the equipment and scrambled. We were scared. I think the photo floods are still there.
Well, for your sake, I hope they ain't.
Oh, yeah.
Red, they'll try. Bring it in here. Oh. There, get me now. Now, you, Bert. We'll see. Coming to the moviola, and if you got a picture, okay. But if you ain't, you better get your hats and coats on and...
We did make a picture, Red, out of it.
Yeah, we'll see in a minute.
No, we did, Red.
Yeah. We'll find out.
But, Red!
Listen, you trying to talk me out of this?
Gee, Red, no.
Well, shut up, then. There. All right, turn out the lights.
Red!
Turn out the lights. Now we'll see. Get your skull out of the way so I can see, Whit. Just a couple of old silks. House and button.
The old guy will be there in a minute.
Yeah, I hope so. Scanning from the house to the barn.
Martin, yeah?
I don't say nothing yet.
Wait.
Station now.
Martin, I don't know.
Look, background's out of focus now.
How's focusing? Here.
Yeah? Well, where is he?
I don't know. Sure, he'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
He'll be there. What happened, Red?
I shut it off.
Oh.
Listen, you lugs. You think for one lousy minute you can get away with that kind of
Red,
stuff?
he was there. Yeah, he was, Red.
Gonna stick together, huh? Well, you're both fired.
Oh, gee,
And if you don't get out of my sight before I count
Red,
ten...
wait.
What's the matter?
The soundtrack, Red.
Well, what about it?
There's something on it.
What?
Let me see. Yes, sir. Voices, I can tell. Rewind it. Quick, Red. Rewind it.
You're pulling it. All right.
You didn't have the speaker turned on, Red.
Keep your lips to yourself. I'll turn it on.
Go ahead, Red. Turn it on for the love of my God.
Just trying to... Okay, here it goes. No sound yet.
No. That's just the Martin Can to follow him from the house to the barn. Now wait till the background jumps out of focus. That'll be the second scene where the old guy was...
Hold on now. I'm in.
What? Listen.
I'm the ghost. I'm the ghost that haunts this here place. You want to know how I do it? Well, at night I go around and look into the window. And when...
Now what I want to know is how you done that.
Oh, my gosh, Red, I don't know. I only know that it's in front of the camera, about 8 feet away. Now, that's what he said. Right there, head, Red.
And my eyes all wide open like this.
Holy Moses.
When they see me, they scream and shiver like to pass out. Yes, sir. I'm a ghost. A doggone good ghost. If you ask me. Go ahead with it.
And how long have you been haunting this barn, Mr. Whit?
4 years, and you think I've been haunted. Yes, sir.
Is that so? Well, do you suppose you could give us a sample of your very ghostliest laugh?
I should. You like that?
That's fine. If you believe in ghosts yourself?
Do I? Well, I am a ghost.
Did you see Red? My God. Holy mackerel. And look. Oh, Fanny. Red, he's trying to scream. It's him. Who are you?
I am a ghost. All right. You can turn them on now.
You have just heard Lights Out, a summer revival of the famous series. Tonight's story, the sixth in the series, was called The Ghost on the Newsreel Negative. The ghost, incidentally, was played by Jess Drew, and his sister under the shroud was played by Harriet Allen. Martin, the cameraman, was played by Lou Krugman, and his noise catcher assistant was Murray Ford. Red was portrayed by Boris Aplon. Now, before we close the shutters and shut up shop for the night, let me give you a little inkle about this week's story. Of course, you'll want to be listening, so I'll just give you a few hints. The story is a very unusual one. It takes place entirely inside the confused head of a hunted man. Nils Malone is a bad man and a killer. He has no conscience, but there's something there that keeps bothering him as he sits in his dingy boarding house hideout. And
Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, Charming Hostess.
Peter Courtney III belonged to one of San Francisco's first families. He was rich and popular and had a beautiful wife. But few of his friends had ever met Mrs. Courtney. She seldom left the Courtneys' Atherton estate. Yes, the big rambling house and the beautiful grounds appealed to Barbara Courtney. She felt happy there and safe. It was only an hour's drive into the city, but to Barbara it was like another world, and nothing intruded except the newspapers and the mail. The morning mail and newspapers placed at the breakfast table by the old butler, Williams, always gives you an uneasy feeling, doesn't it, Barbara? Yes, even though they usually turn out to be advertisements and invitations, even this morning.
anything interesting in your mail, darling?
Oh, it's the usual, Peter. Invitations. They still keep coming in spite of the fact that we never accept.
I've been thinking about that, Barbara. You ought to go out more.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I despise social affairs.
Yes, I know. But I've been talking to Dr. Kastner.
Dr. Kastner? The psychiatrist? Not about me.
No, dear, of course not. The subject came up accidentally.
I see.
We happened to have lunch together at the club yesterday, and he got to talking about seclusiveness.
Seclusiveness?
Staying at home too much. Dr. Kastner says it can become rather harmful.
Oh, nonsense, dear. Lots of people don't like dashing around.
Nevertheless, I've made up my mind.
Peter, when we were married, you promised that we'd live quietly.
And we have, for quite a long time.
Does it seem so long, Peter?
No, darling, I didn't mean it that way. It seems only yesterday that I was in that military hospital overseas being cared for by a very lovely nurse.
That's what I am, dear, a nurse. Not a socialite, just a plain, simple person.
And a sweet one. Too sweet to be hidden away.
But I like being hidden. I'm really very shy.
Yes, I know. I'll never forget that look on your face when they turned those newsreel cameras on us when we came back from Europe.
And I'll admit I was frightened. I realized for the first time that I'd married a very prominent man.
That reminds me, our marriage anniversary is on the 10th. And you know what we're going to do?
I know, Peter. What?
We're going to give a party. A big one.
Oh, Peter, no.
We'll invite everybody, all my old friends.
But, Peter, it's out of the question. I just couldn't do it. I know nothing about entertaining.
You'll learn. And you'll like it when you get used to it.
But can't you see I'm just not the type.
I'll take a chance on you, Barbara. You're a lovely, gracious woman. You'll be a charming hostess.
You stare at Peter in horror, don't you, Barbara? Because you can see that his mind is made up. And a big party, strangers, publicity, is the thing you want least in the world, isn't it? In the days that follow, you use every argument to make Peter give up the idea. But he goes right ahead with the invitations and plans. Then one evening, a few days before your anniversary, when he comes home from his office in the city, he presents you with something.
It's your anniversary present to wear at the party.
A pearl necklace. Oh, Peter.
I know that pearls are for the 30th anniversary, but I didn't want to wait 25 more years.
You're so generous. I've so much jewelry, and now this. What can I ever give you in return?
The only thing I want is many more years as happy as the last ones have been.
Thank you, dear. You're very sweet.
Oh, by the way, here's the evening paper. They've given us quite a write-up on the society page.
Oh, Peter, do we have to have that sort of publicity?
Well, of course. I wish they could have run your picture.
But I have no picture.
I know. You must have some made, dear.
Why, yes, I suppose so. Yes, I will. Sometime.
It's in the second section.
Oh.
What's the matter?
It sort of startled me to see my name in print.
Oh, for a moment I thought something was wrong.
No. There's nothing wrong.
But there is something wrong, isn't there, Barbara? Yes, very wrong. You've seen something in the paper, something you don't like at all. And the minute you're alone, you read the item over and over again. Myra Dorsey has been released from prison. Myra Dorsey, the nightclub photographer. She hates you, doesn't she? Always has. And she'd do anything to find you, expose you, because she didn't have your luck. Myra was arrested as an accessory in the Tremonti killing while you got away. You, Babe Deans, the dark-haired checkroom girl, the one person that the police really wanted. Only they didn't look in the big Canadian hospital, where a shy and by then blonde student nurse was in training. The same nurse who later married Peter Courtney. Yes, Barbara, you know you must be more careful than ever now. And at the coming party, you must make sure there are no pictures. That subject comes up again the day before the party, when the butler, Williams, speaks to you.
The San Francisco Society reporter's on the telephone, ma'am. She wishes your picture.
Well, I'll talk to her myself, Williams. I'll take it on this phone.
Very well. Excuse me.
Hello, this is Mrs. Courtney.
I'm doing a story on your party, Mrs. Courtney. I'd like to run your picture.
I'm sorry, I haven't a recent photograph.
Well, then perhaps you have an old one. When you were a brunette.
A brunette?
I scared you, didn't I? This is no reporter, babe. It's your old friend, Myra Dorsey.
You've made a mistake.
Oh, no, you're the one who made the mistake. When you let me take the prison rap you had coming. And you made another one when you got in that newsreel.
Newsreel?
Sure, after your honeymoon. Oh, we see him in prison. Captain Peter Courtney returns from Europe with bride. Only the bride was Babe Deans with her dark hair bleached blonde.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Nobody recognized you, but me. But, of course, I knew how you'd look as a blonde because I had the picture.
Picture? What picture?
A flashlight I took of you and Tremonti the night Tremonti was killed. You wore a blonde wig, babe. I still have the picture. Oh, and, of course, I have other things. Letters, things like that. Enough evidence that I could have Mrs. Peter Courtney picked up by the police within 24 hours.
I see. How much do you want?
Well, now you're talking like the old Babe Deans. You're going to pay me for every day I spent in prison. $15,000. I'll be at your house at 5 o'clock tomorrow night together.
No, don't come here.
Why not? I've been wanting to see the Courtney estate for a long time.
All right. But please, Myra, come to the side door. It's down the driveway. I'll let you in myself.
The side door? Well, okay. For $15,000, I can afford to be insulted. I'll be there at 5 on the dot.
I'll watch for you from an upstairs window. What will you be wearing?
Honey, they don't give you mink when you get out of prison. I'll be wearing the only thing I've got. A dark blue coat and hat.
Even while you've been talking, you've decided on your first step, haven't you, Barbara? Yes. And that first step is to raise the money Myra demands by selling some of your jewelry. The next morning, after Peter leaves for the city, you take your own car and drive into San Francisco. But it takes much longer than you thought to raise $15,000, doesn't it, Barbara? And it's dangerously late by the time you start home. And you've got to keep the rendezvous at 5 with Myra. The traffic is heavy. And even driving fast, it's 5:30 when you arrive home. Then you see Peter's car. Realize that he's home. That will make things even more complicated, won't it, Barbara? You force yourself to enter the house. You find Williams very excited as he meets you at the door.
Oh, Mrs. Courtney, I'm glad you're here. Mr. Courtney's been asking for you.
Where is he, Williams?
Upstairs with Dr. Adams.
Dr. Adams? Peter isn't ill.
Oh, no, ma'am. They're with the woman.
Woman? What woman?
The poor woman was hit by a car right in front of the house.
A woman was hit by a car? Who is she? Do you know?
No, madam. I never saw her before. But I don't think she's a friend of the family.
So what makes you think that?
Well, for one thing, she's rather poorly dressed.
Oh? What is she wearing?
Very drab clothing, ma'am. Very. Dark blue coat and hat.
Well, Barbara, you've been in a state of panic for several weeks, haven't you? Ever since your husband, Peter Courtney, insisted on giving an anniversary party. Then you learned that Myra Dorsey, out of prison, planned to expose you, reveal your grim past in connection with the Tremonti killing, unless you pay her $15,000. And you're sure this is just the beginning of a long series of blackmail demands. But now, returning home to keep your appointment with Myra, you learn of the hit-and-run accident in front of the house. You stand terrified, but strangely excited and pleased inside as you guess what happened even as Williams describes it to you.
Mr. Courtney and I saw the whole thing as I was bringing him from the station. Fortunately, Dr. Adams happened along a few minutes later. We brought her in and put her upstairs in the green bedroom.
Oh, Mr. Courtney's coming downstairs now. Oh, Peter, how is she?
I don't know. She's unconscious.
She is?
Yes. Lucky Dr. Adams happened along.
Perhaps I can help. You don't know who she is?
We haven't the faintest idea. But wait a minute. Didn't she have a bag, Williams?
Yes, sir. A large blue bag. It was lying in the road beside her. I put it in the living room.
Well, there might be identification in the bag.
I'll look, dear.
Oh, wait. Here comes the doctor. Doctor, what do you think?
Concussion and Lord knows what else.
You know Mrs. Courtney, don't you?
Oh, why, yes. How do you do?
How do you do?
Mrs. Courtney was a nurse during the war.
Oh, is that right? Well,
I'll be glad to do anything I can, Doctor. Anything.
Well, that's fine. I'll go back upstairs as soon as I've made some phone calls.
As the doctor goes to the telephone, you hurry to the living room, don't you, Barbara? Go straight to the chair where you see a large blue bag. You haven't much time, but you open it quickly. Take out everything that will burn. Toss it all into the flames of the fireplace. You work fast, and a moment later you're glad that you have. For you've just replaced the bag on the chair when Peter enters the room.
Well, we've got to find out who she is so her relatives can be notified. Where's the bag?
Her bag? Oh, yes. This must be it here on the chair.
Oh, yes. Well, what do you know about that?
What's the matter?
Well, there's practically nothing in it. Nothing but a compact and a small coin purse. Well, I'd better go tell the doctor.
Peter, wait a minute. I want to talk to you.
Well, of course, dear. What is it?
What do you suppose Dr. Adams intends to do?
Call an ambulance and take her to a hospital in Palo Alto, I suppose.
I wonder if it's safe to move her.
What do you mean?
Sometimes it isn't in these cases. I'm sure that if Dr. Adams thought he had unlimited funds at his disposal, he'd prefer not to move her, and he'd send for an X-ray man and a specialist.
Well, if money is any object, I'll take care of everything.
Oh, Peter, you're so generous.
But it was your idea.
Talk to the doctor about it, will you?
Of course I will, right away. But first, let me tell you something.
Yes?
You're one of the sweetest, kindest women in the world.
You smile at Peter as he walks away, don't you? He's so unsuspecting and so far from the truth. You breathe easier, realizing that you'll be able to give Myra the money and tell her the letters and all her evidence against you has been destroyed. A little later, as the doctor comes up, it looks as if things are working perfectly in your favor.
I've just had a talk with your husband, Mrs. Courtney.
Yes, Doctor?
I must say that you're both being most generous.
Naturally, we want to do everything we can.
That's very fine of you, very. I called Dr. McLean over in Berkeley. He's an excellent man. He'll be down as soon as he can with an x-ray man.
And in the meantime, the patient can remain here?
Yes. Now, there isn't much for you to do. Just call me if there's any change.
Very well, Doctor. You can trust me.
Yeah, I was on my way to an urgent case when this happened. Here. You can reach me at this number for the next hour.
Yes, Doctor.
Now, the main thing is to let her have quiet. Don't disturb her unless she calls.
I understand.
If she becomes conscious, she may be in great pain. Give her a hypodermic and this solution. You know how, of course?
Certainly.
Good. Nursing experience is a valuable asset. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
That's so true, Doctor.
With a few more instructions, the doctor leaves. You look at the hypodermic and toy with an idea in the back of your mind. It's a way out, isn't it, Barbara? The hypodermic. You know how to use it to settle everything, don't you? But you reject the idea almost as soon as it comes to you. No, surely you won't have to take such an extreme measure. A few moments later, Peter calls you.
Darling, don't you think you'd better get dressed?
Dressed?
Why, yes, getting late. Don't tell me you've forgotten about the party.
Oh, but surely we can't have the party now.
Well, it's too late to do anything else. Don't worry, we can handle this. I've been working like a dog. We've arranged powder and cloakrooms downstairs. The guests won't have to come up to the second floor.
Oh, but Peter, the poor woman, the noise.
It can't be heard upstairs, and we aren't going to let the guests know that anything is wrong.
Peter, I don't see how I can go through with this party. I'm terribly tired, almost ready to faint.
Darling, I'm sorry. Why didn't you rest during the day? And that reminds me, William said you were gone all day.
Why, yes. To tell you the truth, I drove up to the city.
Good Lord, on the day of the party? Why?
Well, it was stupid of me, but at the last minute, I found I didn't have an anniversary present for you.
And you went in to get me something. You poor darling. But where is it?
Where's what, Peter?
The present. I want to see it.
Oh, it isn't ready yet, Peter. You'll see it later.
And I'm sure I'll love it. Say, look at the time. I've got to get downstairs.
In your confusion, you'd forgotten the party, hadn't you, Barbara? But it doesn't matter now. Myra's found you, but you have everything under control. As long as you're sure you'll be the first to talk to her when she regains consciousness. Yes, for the present, you feel quite safe. Then you see Williams approaching, accompanied by a tall, gaunt-looking woman.
This is Nurse Phillips, Mrs. Courtney.
Nurse Phillips? I don't understand.
Dr. Adams had me sent out from Palo Alto. I came as soon as I could.
Will you excuse me, madam?
Certainly, William.
And where is the patient?
In there, nurse.
I understand you don't know who she is.
No, we don't.
Well, she'll probably come around soon. I'll find out who she is and notify the police.
No. Don't do that.
But why not?
Dr. Adams said to give her a hypodermic. I have the solution.
Well, I'm in charge now, Mrs. Courtney, and I know Dr. Adams' instructions. Now, you run along and get ready for your party. Oh, you will bring me the hypodermic and solution Dr. Adams left with you?
Oh, yes. Yes, nurse, I'll bring it to you. Right away.
Even as you realize the helplessness of your position, with the arrival of Nurse Phillips, you begin to plan again, don't you, Barbara? It won't do to let anyone else be at Myra's side when she comes to, will it? And you're determined that there's only one way now to stop her. The answer is simple, isn't it? Just a few drops of the deadly poison the gardener uses on your roses. You slip away from Peter and the party guests long enough to add the deadly dosage to the solution given you by Dr. Adams. A few moments later, you're back upstairs.
Yes? Oh, Mrs. Courtney.
Here's the hypodermic, miss.
And the solution, fine.
I'm glad you're here to administer. You know, it's been so long for me, I'm afraid I've forgotten all about this sort of thing.
Well, I'll take care of it.
Dr. Adams said right away. He seemed quite insistent.
I said I'll take care of it, Mrs. Courtney, right away. Now, please, go back to your guests. After all, it is your anniversary. You should be enjoying the party with your husband.
Yes, I should. You know, miss, it's so reassuring having you take over. I do believe I can enjoy the party now.
Yes, Barbara. You go downstairs, join the guests and your husband. You're safe now, aren't you? And much later, Peter manages to get you alone for a moment.
Darling, I broke away for a minute just to tell you, well, that you're a great success. A completely charming hostess.
I'm so glad you think so, Peter.
And under such trying conditions.
Yes.
Excuse me, madam, sir.
Yes, William?
Dr. Adams is here.
Oh?
He's out in the foyer.
Let's go, dear.
Please don't be upset, madam, but I have the feeling that everything isn't as it should be.
I see. Hello, Dr. Adams.
Mrs. Courtney, I'm sorry.
Oh, has anything happened, Dr. Adams?
Unfortunately, yes.
You don't mean...
Yes. Mrs. Courtney, the patient is dead.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She died before Dr. McLean and I got here.
How tragic.
Yes, isn't it? However, I was sure from the first that she didn't have a chance.
She didn't?
No. Dr. McLean agrees with me. Now, you go back to your party. We're going to take care of everything very quietly. Your guests won't know that anything's happened.
Come along, dear. You did all that you could.
Yes. Yes, Peter, I did all I could. There's nothing left to do now.
During the summer months ahead, cars take quite a beating, what with long, fast vacation trips, in addition to frequent weekend outings. That's why now is a good time to get your car in shape by making sure that all wearing parts are freshly and properly lubricated. For the chassis, that means a Signal double-check lube job. We call it double-check because Signal dealers check each lubrication point not just once, but twice, to make double sure that not a single part is ever overlooked. Perhaps it's also time to look after those points on your car which need attention twice a year or each 5,000 miles, such as transmission and differential, front wheel bearings, and shock absorbers. You'll find Signal dealers are experts at these and many more upkeep services. After all, Signal dealers are independent businessmen who have a personal interest in pleasing you. This conscientious service, plus fine quality Signal products, are just two reasons why cars run so well and last so long when serviced regularly by Signal dealers.
Signal, Signal, Signal gasoline. Your car will go far with no further gasoline.
Well, Barbara, you're certain that you're in the clear now, aren't you? You're sure that Myra, the one person who could identify you with the killing of the racketeer Victor Tremonti years ago, is eliminated, dead. Now you can continue fooling the police, as you have for years, as Mrs. Peter Courtney. It seems strange, doesn't it, to have Myra struck down by a car near your home. And you managed to dispose of the contents of her bag in the fireplace before anyone could see them. But it's over now. And also the very successful party. And the next morning at breakfast, Peter greets you with a newspaper. You smile, realizing that you're no longer afraid of newspapers and photographers.
Good morning, darling. You rest well?
Oh, I was tired.
Well, you had a right to be. What a party. I told Williams not to let any calls disturb you. You had quite a few. Phone's been ringing constantly.
Ooh. Am I a big success, darling?
Are you? It makes quite a story on the society page.
Huh?
Listen, I'll read it to you. Entertaining 200 guests is no easy job under the best circumstances. But few hostesses have been confronted with the situation Barbara Courtney found herself in last night. With a gay party going on downstairs,
she had the added responsibility of an uninvited guest in an upper bedroom, a victim of a hit-and-run accident near the Courtney estate. But Mrs. Courtney, a former nurse, was equal to the occasion. She did everything in her power to try to save the life of the fatally injured woman.
I only did what anyone would have done.
Oh, no, dear. You were most thoughtful.
Mr. Courtney, the police are here. Lieutenant Briscoe.
The police? Oh, about the hit-and-run accident yesterday.
Well, not entirely, Mr. Courtney.
Huh?
Sorry to intrude on you like this, but we're here to make an arrest.
Arrest?
Yes. Your wife.
What are you talking about?
We've been looking for your wife ever since the killing of a man named Tremonti 6 years ago. Myra Dorsey told us all about your part in that killing, Mrs. Courtney. She also showed us some very incriminating photographs of you.
But Myra never regained consciousness.
Myra Dorsey wasn't unconscious. She's in jail on a hit-and-run charge. She got talkative because she thought you saw the accident and turned her in. Actually, we traced the license number.
You mean Myra was the driver?
That's right. A rented car. Myra Dorsey was the one that hit the unfortunate woman who died. The woman who was identified at the coroner's office as Mary Benson of Burlingame.
Mary Benson?
Mary Benson? Oh, that was the name of the young woman who failed to arrive to serve at the party.
Please, Barbara, tell me. This is all some sort of a joke, isn't it?
No. I'm afraid it is, Peter. A horrible joke. One that I played on myself.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember, regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Byron Kane, Alice Reinhart, Joe Gilbert, Herbert Butterfield, Herbert Litton, and Bill Boucher. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by George Adrian and Carol Nix, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler, entitled A Case for Mr. Carrington, in which the heat and native passions of tropical Jamaica combine to bring a young American to the point of killing and final payment for his crime. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil...
Orson Welles speaking from London. The Black Museum, a repository of death. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames which houses Scotland Yard is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a crumpled newspaper, a tin can of lighter fluid, a small radio, all are touched by murder. A mandolin string. Familiar object.
I'm told, Inspector, that mandolins are mighty popular with young folk these days.
Popular? Yes, they are. However, I'm rather happy to say their popularity is confined to music, not to murder.
Today, this mandolin string can be found in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Well, here we are in the Black Museum, Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Here lies death, arranged neatly on the shelves and tables open to your view. Now, here's a spoon. It's a simple household spoon. Our murderer was meticulous. With this, he measured out a careful dose of poison. That oar up there on the wall, that was used by the stroke of a famous rowing aid at Henley. Later, it was used in anger, swung at a man who stood on the edge of a pier, stunning him. The man drowned in the Thames very quickly. Ah, here we are, the mandolin string. Just a coil of rust-spotted wire now. String from a mandolin. A relic of another era. An era of polished carriages, well-groomed horses, simple, sedate living, Edwardian England. And Louise Evans.
Louise, my dear.
Stuart, darling, I'm playing for you.
In more ways than one, she's playing for you, Stuart.
Louise, you've got to listen.
Go ahead, son. She'll listen. Just say the right words.
Louise, I love you. You're adorable.
You're getting closer, Stuart. You're doing better now.
Louise, my darling, will you marry me?
At last. That's the way, Stuart. You see? I told you she was playing for you. The church organ, not Louise's mandolin, played them up the aisle that June. They were quite happy, quite domestic, particularly on the quiet winter evenings.
You're looking very well tonight, Louise.
Thank you, dear. Anything of interest in the newspaper, Stuart?
No, nothing you'd want to know about.
Oh, Stuart, darling, I wonder if you'd mind...
Something you want, sweet?
Well, Maisie's gone to her room. I hate to disturb her.
Let me get it for you, whatever it is.
Thank you, dear. It's just that...
Yes?
Well, you may think it's a little odd, but... Well, I have this funny little desire for a glass of wine.
Don't apologize, darling. There's nothing wrong in a glass of wine. Is there any in the pantry?
Well, no, dear, that's just it. A trip down to the cellar.
Not another word. My pleasure is to serve you, my dear.
The husband gets up. He puts his newspaper aside and leaves the room where his pretty young wife sits by the fireside. Walks down the hallway to the cellar entrance, pausing on the way to pick up a candle from the table by the stairs. Lights the candle, opens the little doorway. The candle flickers, casting a fitful yellow light, darkening the shadows where its beams fail to penetrate. Stuart Mason starts down the stairs.
Stuart! Oh! Stuart, answer me! Maisie! Maisie, help me! Help!
Oh, what is it, madam? What is it?
Oh, quickly! Run for Dr. Lipton. Mr. Mason's fallen down the cellar stairs. He's hurt. I'm afraid he's badly hurt.
Oh, it must be a terrible shock, Mrs. Mason, I know. If you take a sleeping powder.
Oh, no, Doctor. No, it was my fault. My silly wish for a glass of wine. If I hadn't asked him... Oh, Doctor, the least I can do is to face my grief. That's the least I can do for poor Stuart.
If you wish, Mrs. Mason, I understand. Death is a terrible thing. When it comes so suddenly to one so young, it is most terrible of all.
Yes, it is terrible. A broken neck, falling down the cellar stairs by flickering candlelight on a simple and hardly necessary errand.
My dear, as a close friend of both your late husband and yourself, I feel justified in asking you to contain your grief. After all, you're young, and if I may say so, pretty.
Nelson, you are sweet. I simply do not know how I would have lived through these long, long months without poor dear Stuart's friends. particularly you.
This brings me to a point, my dear. I've meant to discuss it with you. I begin to feel something slightly more than respect for you, Louise. If I may take the liberty...
Nelson, watch your words. Look out, Nelson. A pretty blonde widow with wide blue eyes, so delicate and fragile. Watch your step.
Oh, my loneliness in this house. At night, the floors creak. They seem to try to speak with me. Maisie does her best, but it's still so... Well, you know. You're lonely too, aren't you?
I must confess, Louise, that I am. Now, see here, young lady. We're going to start a new life for you.
Oh, Nelson. Some cream for Mrs. Church, Maisie.
Yes, madam. Oh, thank you. You know, Louise, this is the nicest idea. Having coffee with our menfolk, I mean. I always hated the idea of the ladies withdrawing while the men had their port alone after dinner.
Well, I can't say I mind when our hostess is as lovely a bride as Louise. Hey, Nelson, do you agree, old man?
Of course I agree. After all, I married her.
How you men do go on. Don't they, Alice?
Let them, dear. It's one of their few pleasures.
I have another pleasure I want to share with you, Alice. Friend?
Yes, Nelson?
Louise is absolute talent with the mandolin.
Oh, Nelson, please.
The mandolin, yes, I seem to remember you played very well, Louise.
Oh, do, Louise, please.
Well, really, my talent is so small.
Oh, we won't take no for an answer, darling. Here it is. Now, what shall your first selection be?
Oh, dear. One of the strings is missing.
Oh, missing?
Well, I was tuning it yesterday. Oh, one of the strings broke, and I didn't get downtown to buy a new one. Oh, I am sorry. Truly, I am. Perhaps next time you'll hear.
Too bad. Really too bad. It would have been so nice. Recently married young lady with a gaily beribboned mandolin in her lap in a lamplit room. It would have been so nice. In fact, as they prepared for sleep, Nelson Carter said just that.
Too bad about your mandolin string, dear. It would have been so nice to hear you play tonight.
Ooh.
What is it, dear?
Oh, the sheets are icy. It must be really cold outside.
Fred Church said it was.
And you are so susceptible to colds. Darling, we've got to have a hot water bottle.
Well, ring for Maisie, why don't you?
Well, she was exhausted, poor dear. She worked so hard cooking and serving dinner. It seems unfair to disturb her.
All right. I'll get it. Do you know where it is?
In the kitchen cabinet, dear. Right in front.
All right. I'd better take a candle.
And use the back stairs, darling. It's shorter that way.
Once again, a young man lights his way through a dark house toward a steep stairway by the flickering flame of a candle. Once again, a young man makes his way along a carpeted hallway. Starts a hurried descent of wooden stairs.
Nelson! What happened?
All right, Maisie. Your mistress will rest now. I gave her a sedative.
Oh, poor woman. Oh, poor child.
Poor? This will be the second fortune she inherits. Hardly poor.
2 accidents like that. Oh, doctor, it's like the poor girl was a curse.
Aye, it is. Well, things like this happen. As you say, 2 accidents and so much alike. I shall probably recommend that your mistress builds herself a new house with no cellar and all on one floor.
Whatever for, sir?
No stairs, my girl. No stairs for anyone to fall down and break his neck. Well, I'm on my way. No visitors allowed.
No visitors. And no stairs in a new house. Well, perhaps. Certainly for another year at least the mandolin will be silent. I think that may be counted upon. That and the widow's weeds and the tearful glances from wide blue eyes. Plus there was one item that no one counted on.
You sent for me, Inspector.
I did, Peck. What do you think of this?
Anonymous, sir.
Yes. Read it, will you?
Inspector Higley, don't file this letter in the waste paper basket. I am not writing it without due thought and consideration. I cannot let you have my name as yet. But think of this. 2 young men of wealth and standing in the community have died via falls downstairs with broken necks as the consequences. Don't you think at least a perfunctory investigation is called for? Don't you think so? And it's signed An Anxious Friend.
Yes. Well, Sergeant?
Well, someone with an education wrote it.
Someone who hints he or she will come forward if we find anything. I cannot let you have my name yet.
Yes, I noticed that, sir.
Well, Sergeant, wear your best suit tomorrow. You and I are going calling on a young widow in Oxford Street. I understand she plays the mandolin. Rather well, in fact. Rather well.
Yes, she played rather well. And a string of that mandolin on which she played could be seen today in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
2 young men dead with broken necks. Both cases certified. Accidental death. And then an anonymous letter. Inspector Higley and Sergeant Peck paid their call. In fact, they paid 2 calls. The first on Dr. Lipton.
I'm rather glad you dropped in, Inspector. I know there's been whispering. 2 unfortunate accidents like this, it would lead to rumors.
Rumors? I see. Such as...
the usual thing, that Stuart Evans and Nelson Carter may have been, helped to fall down the stairs.
You mean pushed?
Something of the sort.
And your opinion, Doctor?
My opinion is certified on the death certificate, sir. Accidental deaths, both of them.
I see. Well, thank you, Doctor. I'm glad you're so certain.
Yes, the good doctor appears quite certain. Nonetheless, Inspector Higley and Sergeant Peck made their second visit.
Oh, I'm so glad you came to see me, Inspector.
Thank you. It's not too often that the police are welcome.
No, I suppose not. But, well, I can't help hearing about the things the people are saying. Maisie brings home so many odd tales.
I was wondering, Mrs... Sergeant, interested in music?
Quite a good-looking instrument, ma'am.
I shall never play it again.
Oh? Why not?
Both Nelson and Stuart loved the music. I cannot get over the fact that I took a mean excuse and refused to play the night that Nelson died.
Oh? An excuse?
Yes. You see, the Churches, Alice and Fred, were here.
I see.
Nelson was pressing me to play. I refused.
Mm-hmm.
I used a missing string as an excuse when I had a stock of strings on hand and could have replaced the missing one. I refused Nelson that last pleasure.
Tell me, do you always keep a stock of mandolin strings on hand, ma'am?
Yes, in the cold weather I do.
I see.
When the temperature drops, the strings seem to get brittle.
Quite.
They break quite easily.
And where do you buy your mandolin strings, Mrs. Carter?
At Murchison's music shop on the High Street. Oh, Inspector.
Yes?
Sergeant, I appeal to you as men of the world. Can't you help me scotch these dreadful things that people are saying? Can you? Would you? Please?
The inspector and the sergeant said they'd try, and they did. Their business was facts. One fact turned up immediately upon their contact with Mr. Murchison of the music shop on High Street.
He showed me the bill of sale, Inspector.
Uh-huh.
She bought the strings, sent them made for him with a written order 3 days after this Carter fellow was buried.
Interesting. Now, why would a woman who says she had a stock of strings on hand the night her husband died, and says further that she'll never play again, buy mandolin strings shortly after the funeral?
An interesting contradiction in dates and actions. A further interesting contradiction came to light some 3 months later.
Another of those anonymous letters, Sergeant. Just, she's playing that mandolin again. I seem to remember, Sergeant, that Mrs. Carter told us she'd never touched the instrument again.
Such contradictory behavior seemed to indicate another call. The inspector dropped in on Louise Evans Carter to mandolin.
Inspector Higley, how nice. All right, matey.
Yes, madam.
Inspector, my friend Clifford West.
How do you know?
Inspector, I'm afraid you've caught me in a fib. Is that very bad?
A fib? Well, it couldn't be bad. Not from you, Louise.
I don't quite follow, Mrs. Carter.
I told you some time ago I'd never play my mandolin again. And you've heard me playing.
Yes, so you did. And so I have. But there must be a good reason, I assume.
Oh, but there is. You tell him, Clifford, dear.
As it happens, sir, we are both very, very happy, and music seemed extremely apropos. You see, sir, Mrs. Carter, Louise, has just done me the honor to consent to be my wife.
Number 3. The inspector sensed the tension in Midhaven. He waited. All of Midhaven seemed to be waiting with him. The first action came from an unexpected quarter.
Inspector Higley, I demand you trace this letter for me at once.
May I see your letter, sir?
Here.
I see. Mr. West, 2 men have died with broken necks. Are you the third? Are you entering the den of the tigress? Tracing a letter like this is not the easiest.
There was no question in the inspector's mind that the author of Clifford West's letter was the same party who had written the 2 notes addressed to the inspector himself. A brief comparison of the handwriting removed what little doubt the inspector had. And Sergeant Peck dropped in on the small Midhaven post office.
This your postmark?
That's right, sir. Of course it is.
Ever see this envelope before?
Well, maybe not. Seen hundreds like it. You can buy that cheap kind in any stationery shop in Midhaven.
Blank, Inspector. Nothing.
I expected as much.
Do you think that West fellow will be scared off, sir?
I doubt it. Sergeant, take this copy over to the Midhaven Gazette, will you? I want it run in every edition for a week.
Think you'll get an answer, sir?
Well, remember the first letter. I cannot let you have my name as yet.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps the party concerned will feel now is the time to reveal himself, or herself, as the case may be. That promise of absolute privacy may do the trick.
I saw your advertisement, Inspector. I came. I hope you can protect me if I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely do hope so.
Your confidence will be respected, Mrs. Church.
Thank you, sir. I trust you don't feel there's any jealousy involved of any kind.
My job is facts, ma'am. Do you have any?
I don't know. You see, Stuart and Nelson both were young men of whom my husband and I were very fond.
Uh-huh.
And I remember so distinctly how disturbed Louise seemed when we asked her to play that night. She seemed upset over our discovery of the missing string on that mandolin. I guess that's all, Inspector.
It's not very much, is it?
No, it's not. But it seems so peculiar. And the mandolin, always that mandolin. Inspector, how could a mandolin be used to kill anyone?
I don't know yet, even if anyone was killed. But I'd like to find out. Mrs. Church, have you any idea of Mrs. Carter's social engagements? I mean, when, for instance, is she probably out of her house for a length of time? You can advise us as to any such matter.
It seems Mrs. Carter attended the ladies' auxiliary of the local church each Wednesday afternoon, an activity a respectable young widow would be expected to enjoy. And it was Wednesday afternoon when the inspector and the sergeant called.
The mistress isn't in, sir.
I doubt if she'll be too long. May we wait?
If you wish to, sir.
The inspector went into the sitting room. Sergeant drifted toward the kitchen. Maisie safely occupied by the good sergeant, Inspector Higley swiftly found the cellar stairs. Carefully he moved down, examining each step, each lift and tread, each section of the baseboard. Halfway down.
Well, interesting to say the least.
Upstairs now to the back stairway. Again the careful examination. Again about halfway down.
They'll do it every time. Every single time.
Then quietly into the kitchen.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
I don't think we'll wait any longer.
I'm sorry, sir. The mistress went along to the vestry and she ought to be...
Oh, that's all right. Just tell her we called, will you? Come along, Sergeant. We'll drop back another time.
And the two policemen left the house to return to the inspector's office.
It's something, Sergeant. Not much, but something.
It convinces me, sir.
And me. But how about a jury?
I don't know, sir. Of course, if we had a bit more, the nails themselves, sir. Then there's the business of buying that stock of mandolin string.
Sergeant, we'll drop in on Mrs. Carter this evening. Do you by any chance play the mandolin?
It was nice of you to come back so soon, Inspector. I do hope you've been able to help me with all that mean whispering I told you about.
I wish we could, ma'am. I wish we could. Did I tell you that Sergeant Peck is interested in the mandolin?
I know you didn't.
May I, ma'am?
Certainly.
Yes, a lovely tone, ma'am.
Yes, it has.
Quite a romantic instrument, I believe.
It goes back to the troubadours in France, centuries ago.
Yes, I've heard. It certainly had its place in your life, Mrs. Carter.
Yes, I dare say it has.
I've been wondering about something, Mrs. Carter. I hope you can help me.
Well, if I can, I will, of course.
We checked with Mr. Murchison at his music shop.
Oh?
Yes, he tells us you purchased a stock of strings shortly after Mr. Carter's death, not just before, as you told us.
Well, then I'd forgotten the exact date.
It seems rather peculiar that you should forget that after you made such a point of it to us.
I was under a terrible strain. I'm sure... If you'll stop plucking that A string, Sergeant, my nerves are...
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to break it. I'll get you a new one.
That won't be necessary, Sergeant. I have extras right here in this drawer. That was the A string, wasn't it?
I'm rather surprised, Mrs. Carter. A woman of your obvious means keeping nails, and bent ones at that, in a drawer of a desk in her sitting room.
I forgot to throw them away.
Yes, I dare say you did. May I have them, please?
But you'll leave them alone.
I dare say also that they'll fit exactly into certain holes in the baseboards of your cellar and back stairs, just above the steps where someone unsuspecting would trip over a tightly stretched mandolin string stretched between two nails, like these, Mrs. Carter. You're taken in charge, madam. The charge is willful murder of your two husbands. I must warn you that anything you may say may be taken down in...
And so, once and for all, the mandolin string was silenced. It can be seen today in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Orson Welles.
Louise Evans Mason Carter was tried for murder. The police stated facts and produced evidence. But Louise wept and lifted those blue eyes of hers to heaven, and the jury disagreed, and she was not convicted. Not in court. She was convicted by her neighbors and by her friends. They knew. And so, Louise Evans Mason Carter moved away, far north, to Scotland, alone. And there she died some 20 years later, still alone. And now, until next time, till we meet in this same place and I tell you another story of the Black Museum, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles, is presented by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Radio Attractions. The program is written by Ara Marion, with original music composed and conducted by Sidney Torch. Produced by Harry Allen Towers.
Mutual presents The Mysterious Traveler. This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope that you enjoy the trip, that it thrills you a little and chills you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. Tonight we're going to join Bill Storm, a newspaper reporter, on the strangest manhunt ever conducted, or should I say woman hunt, as he searches frantically through a great city for the most dangerous and deadly woman you've ever imagined. In the story I call The Woman in Black. And now here's the story as Bill Storm himself wrote it down, when he began to be afraid that maybe he was going to succeed in his hunt for the woman in black.
My name is Bill Storm. I'm a newspaper reporter. And I'm writing this because I have a date tonight. A date with a gorgeous brunette with big dark eyes and the smoothest, softest voice in the world. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, I'd like to believe she's nice, but I can't. In my heart, I know she's the most dangerous woman in the world. Up to a week ago, I never even heard of her. A week ago, the day of Rusty Dean's funeral. You know, the big shot gambling slot machines. Killed by a solitary gunman while stepping out of his nightclub. They didn't catch the killer, but they gave Rusty the biggest funeral since Prohibition. I was on the read-write desk that afternoon. My best friend, Tom Jervis, was covering the funeral. And along about 4, he phoned in. First, he gave me all the dope on the funeral, and then he started telling me about some brunette he'd just met. He was always a sucker for brunettes.
Bill, she's a knockout. Big black eyes and the smoothest, softest voice in the world. I want you to meet her.
Oh, blonde's more my style, Tom. Anyway, you're supposed to be working. Or have you forgotten?
I am working. Listen, Bill, I've got a front-page story here. Theda led me to it.
Who did?
Theda, that's her. Theda, Theda. Just like Theda Barrow, the old silent picture star.
Oh.
Well, this is how it happened, Bill. I was watching the crowd at Rusty's funeral. I spotted a trim little number all in black. They're whispering to Joe Nelson.
Well, who's Nelson?
Joe Nelson, a small-time Anyway, she moved off. I thought she might be a relative of the deceased, so I asked Joe about her. He claimed he'd never seen her before. That all that she'd said to him was 4 o'clock at the Banner Bar and Grill.
4 o'clock at the Banner Bar and Grill? Sounds like a message.
That's what Joe figured. Oh, he decided that she'd delivered it to the wrong guy. Well, I sort of wanted to see her again, so I persuaded Nelson he needed a drink. We slipped around the corner here to the Banner Bar and Grill. Sure enough, she was here waiting for us.
Now, Tom, watch yourself.
Well, you've got the wrong idea. She's a perfect lady.
Yeah? What about that big story you claimed you had?
I'm coming to it. But honest, Bill, I want you to meet Theta. You'll go for her. Hey, look, I'm going to put her on the phone to say hello. Here she is. Theta?
Hello, Bill Storm.
Hello, Theta. Is that your real name?
Yes. Don't you like it, Bill?
Well, sure I like it. What's the rest of it? Any girl my sidekick goes overboard for, I'd like to know her name.
There isn't any rest of it, Bill. Just Theta.
Oh, nobody is just one name. Not these days.
Sorry, Bill. It's all I've ever had. Here's Tom again.
Listen, Bill, I'm going to fix up a date with her for you. But here's the story that I promised you. Joe Nelson has been getting quietly plastered. And from what he's let slip, I'm positive he's the gunman who killed Rusty Dean.
He is? Well, then hang on to him.
I am. You get a car, come down here. We'll smuggle him up to the office and work on him. Maybe we can get the whole story out of him.
I'll be there in 15 minutes. Keep buying him drinks till I get there. What's the address?
It's on the corner of 5th and Spruce. Bill, 2 men just came in the door. They got Tommy guns. They're after Joe Nelson.
Tom, what happened?
They just mowed him down. Theta's gone. She slipped away when they came in. I think she fingered him for them. Yeah, that explains everything. Bill, they're coming over toward this phone booth. They're going to shoot. Bill!
Tom!
Bill, they've got me. But find that girl. She knows who they are. She's working with them. So long, Bill.
I was there in 5 minutes, even before the police got there. The place was deserted except for the 2 dead men. Joe Nelson, the gunman, and Tom. Tom, my best friend, led to his death by a Delilah in a black dress. Well, the police didn't find the gunman who did the shooting, so I set out to find the girl, to track them down through her. Once I found her, she was going to talk plenty. I began the hunt by calling on the man who had been Rusty Dean's chief lieutenant and was running his enterprises now, Nick Murray.
Sit down, Storm. You said you wanted to talk to me. What about?
Murray, did your boys kill Joe Nelson this afternoon?
My boys? No, Bill. Why should they?
Maybe because it was Nelson who bumped off Rusty Dean.
He did? How do you know that?
You mean you didn't know it?
Listen, if I'd known that Nelson would have been dead long before this.
I figured that. That's what made me think that you were in the clear.
You haven't told me how you know Nelson killed Rusty.
Well, he had a few drinks this afternoon. He let it slip out to Tom Jervis, my sidekick. Just before those 2 hoodlums riddled them both. A brunette named Theta put Nelson and Tom on the spot for them.
A brunette named Theta? Never heard of her.
Oh, I hoped you might have. A good figure. Deep, dark eyes, low, soft voice. Looks like a lady.
Some lady if she works with a bump-off gang. No, I never heard of her. But if she's working with any local mob, I'll hear about her all right. If any of my boys run across her, I'll let you know.
Thanks, Willie. But warn them. If they meet her, watch out. She's pure dynamite. Well, that was one lead that got me no place. So next I dropped in on Captain Hughes, the head of homicide, to ask if the police had gotten any fingerprints off the glass the girl had been drinking from before the shooting started.
Sorry, Bill. No dice.
You mean you didn't get anything from the girl's glass?
Not a thing. You see, she hadn't touched it. None of the liquor was gone.
Well, now that proves that she wasn't on the level.
Not necessarily, but I've issued orders to have her picked up if she's found. Not much to go on, though. We tried to get a description from Gomez, the waiter who served them, but
what?
Well, he says he didn't get a good look at her. When she slipped away, he didn't even see her go.
Some eyes he must have had. I suppose he didn't even see the shooting.
Not much of it. He dived down the cellar steps when it started. He's in Civic Hospital now.
Well, I'm going out there to talk to him. He must have noticed something. Oh, and so long, Captain, and thanks. It wasn't much of a lead, but it was all I had. It was pretty late by now, and when I got there, the hospital had settled down for the night. They put Gomez in a ward, and outside the ward, I found a nurse on duty. The blonde kid who turned as I came up.
Oh, good evening. You looking for someone?
Yes, my name is Storm. I'm looking for a patient named Gomez.
Gomez? Oh, yes, broken arm and internal injuries.
How is he? Is he awake?
Yes. He's feeling badly, complains of pains in his chest.
Well, if he's awake, I want to talk to him. This is police business. What bed's he in?
The last one, down by the far door. But I'll have to ask the doctor if you can see him. Will you wait here?
She disappeared down the hall, but I didn't wait. The ward was dark, except for a couple of dim lights. I started for the far end, and then I saw her. She was just a figure in a black dress bending over the last bed. But it was Theda, all right. It had to be. I tiptoed down the room. She was talking to Gomez, and he was moaning a little.
It hurts, doesn't it, Gomez? Yes, of course it does. But it'll go away soon.
He mumbled something, and then he reached for the glass on the table beside his bed.
A drink of water? Of course. Let me help you.
She helped him lift the glass to his lips, and then I knew what she was up to, and I yelled, Gomez! Drop that glass! Don't drink out of it! He dropped it all right, but it was too late. He'd already drunk from it. He turned to stare at me, his mouth open, and she moved toward the door right beside her. I ran after her, but it was too late. When I reached it, she was gone, swallowed up in a dark hall. I knew it wasn't any use hunting for her, and I turned back to Gomez. In my impatience, I grabbed his shoulder. Gomez! Who was she? What did she want?
Mr. Storm, you're not supposed to be in here. What are you doing to my patient?
I'm going to make him answer me.
Take your hands off him. He's not going to answer any questions for you tonight.
And I say yes.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Storm. He's dead.
Yes. He was dead, all right. The only possible witness who could have led me to her, and she eliminated him. And then I knew that whoever she was and whatever her game was, trying to find her was going to be about as safe as moving into a den of rattlesnakes. I put in a bad night trying to figure it all out. Next morning, when I got down to the paper, my eyes looking like two holes burning a bladder, I hunted up my editor, Harry Holloway, in the city room.
Well, look at Frankenstein. What happened to you, Bill?
Oh, I'm all right, Harry. Listen, anything new come in about those thugs who killed Tom?
Not a thing. Paper's needling the police, but, well, so far, no results.
And there won't be either, till we find that girl in black. She's the key to the whole thing, I know it.
Aren't you getting a little hipped about that girl in black? After all, she may be perfectly innocent.
Oh, yeah? Then how do you explain her killing Gomez last night, just before I could question him?
Bill, are you sure you didn't imagine you saw her at the hospital? After all, nobody else did. Not even the nurse.
Imagine it. I heard her talking to him. In a soft, honey voice, as if she was bringing him flowers instead of poison.
Yeah, that's another thing. The hospital autopsied Gomez. Found no trace of poison. They claim it was internal hemorrhage and shock that killed him.
Sure, the shock of a nice, healthy slug of poison in his glass of water. Suppose they didn't find anything. They weren't looking for it, that's all. Harry, look, I saw her kill her.
Okay, you saw her. Now what?
I want to be relieved of all assignments until I find her, that's what. She's in this city, and I'll run her down inside a week. Or I'll quit calling myself a reporter. A week, I said. Didn't take any week to find her. Not that girl. She got around too much. I saw her again just 1 hour later. It happened like this. I went back to my apartment, and I dropped into a chair beside my window. And I started trying to figure my next move. Now, I have an inside room, and the window looks right out on another building across an air shaft, not 10 feet away. I'd been sitting there about half an hour when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone in the room directly across from me come to the window and stand there, looking over at me. It was a girl in a black dress, wearing a cute little hat with a black veil down over her eyes. And as soon as I saw her, I knew it was Theda. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. Standing there with a 10-foot air shaft separating us. Well, I did what I could. I turned so that she couldn't see what I was doing, and I got Captain Hughes on the phone. He said that he'd have the building surrounded if I could keep her talking for 5 minutes. Well, I hung up the phone and I turned back toward the window, trying to act casual. Hello, Theta. Looking for me?
Hello, Bill. No, it's just accidental that I'm here. But you're looking for me, aren't you?
Her voice did something to me. I can't explain it. It sounds crazy for a hard-boiled crime reporter to say, but it seemed to get down inside me and twist things all around. Why, a minute ago I had hated her. And now... Well, now I knew why Tom had gone overboard about her. I said something, anything to keep her talking. Why, yeah, Peter, I've been looking for you. You're a hard girl to find.
I have to be, Bill.
But why, Theta? Look, you're just a kid. What kind of a racket are you mixed up in anyway?
I'm sorry, Bill. I can't answer that.
But listen, you could be anything you wanted. You don't have to be mixed up with murder.
Then you think I'm a murderer?
Oh, what else can I think? Last night you killed that poor devil at the hospital. I saw you.
Yes, I know. You wouldn't believe me if I told you you're wrong, would you?
Oh, I'd like to, Theta, but I can't.
I'm sorry, Bill. Someday you'll know the truth. Now I have to go.
Oh, no, wait. Let me look at you. I think we met someplace before. Yeah, it was Chicago. But I can't remember where.
Please don't try to, Bill. And don't try to find me anymore. Now, goodbye.
Oh, no, wait. But she was gone. And then somebody else appeared at the window. A window washer. He started to climb out on the sill to fasten his belt to the safety hooks. And I yelled at him, "Hey, you! That girl that was there, stop her!"
You made a little number in the black dress?
Yeah, where did she go?
She went out just as I come in. But...
Well, go after her. Grab her. She's wanted by the police.
Hey, listen, mister, I'm here to wash windows, not to chase dames. If the police want to, let them catch her. Now, quit bothering me. I got a job to do.
Hey, look, on.
What?
Your safety hook.
No!
Right in front of my eyes, he fell 15 floors. I saw the safety hooks break as he leaned his weight against them. And then I knew why she'd been there. She'd been there to weaken those hooks, to make sure that poor devil fell and killed himself.
Well, Storm, we didn't get her. She slipped through our fingers somehow.
But she was there, Captain. I saw her. I talked to her.
She was there, all right. We found a handkerchief in the room, a woman's handkerchief. Initial J on it. Heavy perfume. Here it is.
Lilac. It's drenched in lilac. But look, the initials J. She said her name was Theta.
She was kidding you. But she did the job, all right. Those safety hooks had been filed away to nothing. One of the local mobs is trying to get control of the window washers union. That's why she was killed. Intimidation. Sweet little lady, that one. Hey, but Storm, the elevator boy who took her up says she was a blonde. Not a brunette.
He was crazy. Her hair's as black and soft as midnight.
Getting poetic, aren't you? I wonder if you're still as anxious to find that girl as you were.
What? Of course I am.
Yeah?
And when I find her, she'll get what's coming to her. That's what I said. I didn't know for sure whether I meant it or not. I just knew that I had to find her again. For 4 days, I combed the town for that girl. And then, 2 nights ago, as I was walking home, just about midnight, I ran into Dutton, a cop I knew, looking down the dark street and scratching his head. Hello, Dutton. What's the matter? You see a ghost?
Oh, hello, Mr. Storm. No, but I got a funny feeling I just saw that girl Captain Hughes once picked up.
You did? Where? When?
Just a minute ago. I was walking my beat when this dame comes past me, all dressed in black, and she smiles at me.
Yeah, go on. What happened then? Where'd she go?
Down the street. She turned into that door down there.
Well, come on, then. If she's still there, we gotta get her. In 30 seconds, we were standing before the dark door that Dutton said the girl had turned into. It was partly open.
That's the door, Mr. Storm. But that's the entrance to a first storage loft. Why would she go in there?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
Well, better let me go first. I got a gun here. I'll see what's going on inside.
He pushed the door open, stepped into the dark hall. And then I heard him call out.
Hey, lady, I want to talk to you. Hey, you up there. Put down that fur. Put it down.
Dutton! Who shot you? Was it the girl?
No. She was just standing there. It was two guys upstairs. I hijacked them with furs. They...
Dutton!
But listen, Storm. You say you didn't see her. Now, how do you know it was the same girl?
I know, Captain Hughes. She was acting as a lookout for those fur thieves. She deliberately lured him in there to his death.
Maybe, or maybe not. Now, I'm seriously beginning to doubt if it's the same girl mixed up in all these cases. I think it's just a theory. Your theory.
I'll prove it to you. She's definitely mixed up in these rackets. And by now, Nick Murray and his boys must have learned something about her. I'm going over there now and find out. When I got to Murray's club, one of the boys showed me up to the office.
Hello, Storm. Come in and sit down.
Thanks. I will.
Can I fix you a drink?
No, thanks.
No?
I just wondered if you'd picked up any trace of that girl I was asking you about.
Theda? No, the boys haven't turned up a thing. Look, are you sure you're not just imagining her?
That's what the police are beginning to think, too. But I'm not, Nick. She's real, all right.
Listen, if there was any such girl working in this man's town, I'd know about her by now.
Unless she's awful smart. And it looks like this one is. Oh, well, guess I'd better go and get some sleep. Might need it.
Oh, before you go.
Yeah?
I don't know anything about the girl, but tomorrow I may be able to tell you who killed your sidekick, Tom Jervis.
You may?
Yeah.
When?
Well, I won't have the dope until tomorrow night. If you'll meet me around 10, I can give it to you.
I'll meet you. Just say where.
You know the Tambourine Bar on 3rd Avenue?
No, but I'll find it.
Okay, there's a back room. Meet me there about 10. And come alone.
About 10?
Right.
I'll be there. I went home, but I didn't get much sleep. I was too keyed up. About 3, I got up and I put on a dressing gown. I sat down by the window to smoke. And then, behind me...
Hello, Bill Storm.
I turned, and she was there, standing in the doorway. I started to get up.
No, stay where you are, Bill. Unless you do, I'll leave.
Theda, why have you come here?
You've been looking for me so hard, Bill, I thought I ought to.
Look, I won't touch you or try to make you stay, but let me get up and fix you a drink.
I'm sorry, Bill. I can't stay. But I did want to tell you, the time's come when you can know the truth about me.
You mean you're going to tell me who you are and why you've done what you did?
Everything, Bill. But not tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow, though.
When? Where?
You have an appointment, don't you, with Nick Murray at 10 o'clock?
Oh, yeah. At the Tambourine Bar. How do you know? Are you working for him?
No, Bill, I'm not. I don't work with anyone.
Yeah, but Theda...
Please don't ask me any questions now. I can't tell you anything until tomorrow night. Good night, Bill.
Oh, no, wait. You can't go yet. But she was gone. By the time I reached the door, she was out of sight. So I went back to bed, but I didn't get any sleep. I was groggy, punch-drunk. I knew she was guilty, but I wanted to believe she was innocent. Well, now I'm going to learn the truth. I'm waiting in the back room of the Tambourine Bar. It's almost 10. And I'm just finishing this report that I started this morning. She should be here soon. So should Nick Murray. If what she tells me satisfies me that she's innocent, I'll tear this up. But if she isn't, well, I'm going to find out because she's coming through the door now.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Theda. You did come, didn't you?
Of course I came, Bill. You believe bad things about me, don't you?
Oh, yes. How can I help it?
Believe me, Bill, I'm not wicked. Look at me and see if you really think I'm bad.
She lifted her veil, and for the first time I saw her face clearly. It was just as I thought it would be. A beautiful face, with dark eyes that I could see into deeper and deeper, like looking into the heart of the night itself.
Now, Bill, do you really think I'm wicked?
Oh, no. No, I don't. I've been wrong. But who are you, then? What's your connection with these murders?
You'll know in a moment, Bill. I have to leave you, just for a minute or two. Just while you talk to Murray. He's coming now.
She slipped out one door while Murray came in the other. Nick closed the door behind him and sat down.
Well, I see you're on time, son.
Yes. If you can tell me who killed Tom Jervis, I want to know.
That's what I'm here for. 2 of my boys killed him.
2 of your boys?
That's right. You see, Joe Nelson killed Rusty Dean on my orders, so I could take over. Then I saw your friend trying to pump Joe. I couldn't very well afford to take chances. I had to get rid of both of them.
I see. That explains a lot. What about the girl?
I don't know a thing about her. I think you just made her up as an excuse to come asking me questions.
Oh, no. No, I didn't. She's real.
I know better. Because you did see a girl in that apartment where the window washer fell, but not a girl in black. You saw Janice, my girl. She filed those safety hooks, dropped that handkerchief the police found.
She did? You mean you had that fellow killed?
Yes, Storm. Just a little business deal I'm interested in. And last night I decided you were getting to be a nuisance. That's why I'm telling you all this now. Because you're not going to pass it on.
Oh, no. No, put that gun away. You can't get away with it. You...
Goodbye, Storm. We won't be meeting again.
Theda.
Here I am, Bill.
Theda, help me. Call a doctor.
I'm sorry, Bill. I can't. But it won't hurt long.
Theda.
Yes, Bill.
I recognize you now. I know where I saw you that time in Chicago.
Yes, Bill. I knew you'd remember.
Oh, no. No, stay away from me.
Bill, don't be afraid of me.
Oh, no. Stay away from me. Stay away.
Bill, come back. You mustn't run away from me. Come back. Come back.
No. No, I won't. I won't. You're not going to get me like you did the others.
Mr. Storm. Mr. Storm, can you hear me?
What? Where am I? You're a nurse.
Yes. You're in Civic Hospital. You were brought here an hour ago, shot in the chest. You were found crawling down 3rd Avenue by policemen.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Nurse, take this down. Nick Murray shot me.
What?
Get word to the morning ledger.
Certainly, Mr. Storm. Now, please lie quietly while I get the doctor. I'll only be a minute.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Thea. You followed me here.
Yes. You shouldn't have run away, Bill.
I did it because I remembered where I saw you last. In Chicago. The time I was in a taxi accident. I saw you in the other car just before we hit. 3 people were killed.
That's right, Bill. You did see me then. And now you know who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Now I understand why you have to be around when people die. You don't kill them. It's just your job to be there. But I never expected you to be a beautiful girl.
Why not, Bill? Just because people think of me as an ugly old man with a scythe, does that make it true? I'm not really ugly, you know. I'm not someone you have to be afraid of.
Oh, no. And I'm glad you're beautiful. Makes it easier this way.
Now take my hand, Bill. It's time for us to go.
Yeah, sure. I'm ready.
He recovered consciousness a minute ago, Dr. Clark. I came for you at once. He seemed to be quite strong, and I... Dr. Clark! He's dead.
mysterious traveler again. So that was the secret of the girl in black. Theda, a strange name. Theda. I wonder if Bill ever did realize that those are the same letters that spell death. But he did what he set out to do. He learned the truth, and he avenged his friend, and he... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this time.
You've just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. In tonight's cast were Maurice Tarplin, Chet Stratton, James Van Dyke, Wendell Holmes, Mort Lawrence, and Joan Tompkins. Original music was played by Jack Ward. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Rob Arthur and David Kogan. Listen next week to a tale titled
Death Wears My Face.
Another strange and shivery tale of The Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler came to you from our New York studios. Carl Caruso speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Strange Wills. Stories of strange wills made by strange people, starring the distinguished Hollywood actor Warren Williams, and featuring Lorene Tuttle, Perry Ward, with Howard Culver and an all-star Hollywood cast, and the original music of Del Castillo. I devise and bequeath to my heirs the 7 deadly sins: hate, jealousy, anger, revenge, envy, greed, and lust. And here is our distinguished star of radio, screen, and stage, Warren Williams.
Strange wills are stories of strange and unusual testaments, many of which, when read between the lines, bring to light stories of dramatic intensity that defy our imagination. Names, places, and time have all been changed, so that no reflection can fall on any person or persons, living or dead. The masterpieces of fiction pale in comparison to the stark drama found in man's last official act on earth, his last will and testament. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. But first, let's listen to a few words from your announcer.
And now back to Warren Williams as John Francis O'Connell in Treasure to Starboard.
This is a story of sunken treasure, of blood-red rubies, sparkling diamonds, and lustrous pearls. But these were but a part of this priceless treasure trove. There were golden statues of pagan gods encrusted with precious stones. There were amethysts, opals, and gold. 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 On the night of March 12th, in the year 1703, some 400 miles off the coast of the West Indies, the Spanish three-master Toledo was foundering in the grip of a tremendous hurricane. In his cabin, Captain Fernandez was hurriedly drafting his last will and testament. He and his crew knew that death rode the gigantic waves and that hope of survival was an improbability.
I consign my body to the elements.
and my soul to the loving and tender arms of the Holy Mother, and to some valiant adventurer whose heart beats with the lust of a miner, I give the treasure on board my ship. Our position is longitude oeste.
We're about to burn the ship, Captain. Hurry, hurry!
No, Jose, I shall stay. Go, all of you, and may heaven protect you. For over 200 years, men have been searching for the treasure aboard the Toledo, but not one clue was ever found until one afternoon, a young, dashing, seafaring friend of mine, Captain Paul London, called me from some little island in the West Indies.
I can't tell you more than that, John. I'm afraid of eavesdroppers. But I know I'm on the right track. Now, don't you just as I say. I'll expect you both here next Sunday. Come on, John.
So Paul had discovered a clue to the treasure ship Toledo. It had me excited. I could see quarts of rubies, packs of diamonds. Well, who wouldn't get excited? I lost no time in contacting the person whose name he had given me, a certain Jean Medford.
Hello?
I'd like to speak to Mr. Jean Medford, please.
Well, the name is right, but the sex is wrong, mister.
Oh, what do you mean?
I happen to be a female, a girl one, and a rather pretty one, too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Medford. I had no idea when I talked with Paul.
Paul? Paul, you haven't talked with Paul London, have you?
Less than 10 minutes ago. He called me from some little town called Rosarita.
Oh, and just what has the traveling Mr. London got up his sleeve today? And by the way, I'd like to know who I'm talking to.
Of course, I'm sorry. I'm John Francis O'Connell, attorney at law, and a personal friend of our mutual friend.
Oh, well, that's better. Now then, Mr. O'Connell, what does the great Paul want this time?
It's quite a large order, my lady. He wants you to prepare and pack a great deal of special equipment. Now, let's see. Where's the list he gave me? Oh, here it is. Your filtered ultraviolet light machine, a quantity of hydrothiacyanic acid. Well, all the materials and gadgets one uses in the examination of questioned documents.
And after I've done all that, then what do I do, please?
Then, my dear Miss Medford, I am to take you to the airport and fly you bodily to the lair of Paul London.
Why, that's ridiculous. I simply won't be let off by the nose on any wild goose chase of his. No, I refuse. I won't go.
Paul is on the trail of a buried treasure, Miss Medford, and I can guarantee you that if you're a good girl and come peacefully, that perhaps before this is over, you can wear rubies on your nightgown and dissolve real pearls in your bath.
Rubies on my nightgown and pearls in my bath. When do we start?
Tomorrow night. I'll pick you up about 5, and then we're off to high adventure. Fasten your seatbelt, Jean. We're over Rosarita, and I don't know what kind of a field this is going to be.
Gee, I'm excited. Take it easy now. No crash landing. My nerves are on edge.
So am I. Hang on, we're going down.
I'm ready.
Well, I found this little nautical museum here quite by accident, and I ran across something that made my hair stand on end. In one of the exhibits, I found 2 pieces of evidence that sent me to the telephone in my call to John.
Well, for heaven's sake, don't keep us in suspense any longer, Paul. What's in this exhibit that makes you think you know where the Toledo lies?
Wait, John. Talk in a whisper. There are some strange-looking characters on the loose in this country. We can't be too careful. If this news ever got around...
Looking for an alibi already, Paul?
Oh, no, of course not. I'll tell you what I found. I found the water-soaked log of the Toledo. Every word has been washed out by seawater except the ship's name carved on the cover.
Ah, I'm beginning to see the light. And Jean here with all her paraphernalia.
That's right. Modern science will let us read that log. If the captain of the Toledo lived up to the code of the sea...
We will find the position of his ship when she went down.
Well, so far, so good. But how does Paul intend to get the log?
I'll leave that to my gentle, but persuasive administration. The main thing is this. I'm going to get possession of the log of the Toledo for one night only. Jean, I want you to set up your apparatus here in this hotel room and wait until I return.
Well, how about me, Skipper? Need any help?
No, John, I think I can handle this alone. Remember now, I'll be back in 2 hours. Have everything ready.
And supposing the handsome male lead shouldn't come back?
Well, in that event,
simply fold your tent like the Arabs.
And silently steal away.
Right.
Jean worked feverishly the next hour, getting her chemicals and equipment set up for this exciting moment. And then, quite suddenly...
Will you see who it is, please, John? Don't let anyone come in.
Very well. Paul! Good heavens, you're wounded. Here, let me help you.
Paul! Oh, Paul, what happened? The log, did you...
I'm all right. Cut hit in the shoulder, but I've got it. Look.
Oh, here, give it to me. John, help Paul get his shirt off. I'll get some antiseptic.
Sit down on the bed, Paul. Here. I'll rip this shirt off your shoulder. Easy now.
It's just a flesh wound, John. Don't worry about it. What worries me is the man who took the shot at me.
Did you recognize him?
No, I got a good look at his face, too. He was blond, solid, had a German face.
You don't imagine someone else?
Well, I don't know, John, but there's that chance that someone else is as smart as I.
Bragging again, huh? Here, now, let me see that wound. Well, no bone smashed. Could have been worse. Hold still while I wash it.
Oh.
Sissy, now hold still. Now a bandage. And in 2 minutes, I'll have you ready to lift your weight in wildcats.
The way I feel just now, those wildcats would have to be about 2 days old.
Jean worked far into the night, and without success. Her ultraviolet light proved valueless. Photographs taken of the pages with infrared brought only blank negatives. All of us were frantic. Towards dawn, Jean looked up from her work.
Gentlemen, I think I'm a flop. I can't bring out a single word that's ever been written on this paper. It's hopeless, I guess. Oh, Paul. I feel terrible about letting you down.
Never mind, Jean. Don't feel too badly.
Wait a minute. Here. There's one more chance. John, get me a handful of soot out of the fireplace. Put it in this dish for me.
One handful of soot coming up.
Thank you. Now, John, come over to the table with me. Paul, you lie there.
Okay, Duchess.
I'm going to plug in this special ray lamp. It throws a pinhole light. It must be parallel to the page in the log. If there's one single solitary indentation left, it'll bring it out. Now then, Mr. Baxter, out with the light. I'll take a page at random for our experiment. Hand me this soot, please.
1 order of soot. Over, easy.
You can't see this, Paul, but I'm blowing a pinch of soot over the page. That's a very fine coating. It'll work its way into any depression on the page. Now I'm letting the pinhole of light traverse across the page.
Look, Jean. I see a part of a letter forming. It makes a distinct shadow under the light. It's working. It's working.
Take it easy. It's too early to crow.
Say, if you think I'm going to lie here on the bed while you two solve the mystery of the log of the Toledo, you're both nuts.
It is working. Look. There's an S. A-Y. Oh, good. Now I'm going over to the back of the book and work forward. We've got to find the final entry. More soot, please. Lots more.
Page after page. Page after page. Our faces were drawn and haggard. And then...
Here it is. I've raised some more shadows. Oh, Paul, John. We found the last page of the log. The next few minutes will tell the story.
It looks like a number. It is. It's a 6 and a 2 after it. 62. That must be longitude. Yes, of course, longitude 62 degrees.
Here comes the rest. What is it, Jean?
It looks like a 1. I can't be sure. And the next number is...
You will remain seated, please. Carlos, turn on the light.
Oui, Commandant.
If you would avoid personal danger, you will not attempt to interfere. You see, I am armed. Good. Now then, permit me to introduce myself. I am Herr Gustav Richter, late U-boat commander in the German Navy.
Well, are we supposed to say Heil Hitler?
The war is over. A big one. But unless you leave this island immediately, a new one will start. Because as you might know, we are both after the same thing. Now then, Carlos, you will take the book from the young lady's hands. Fraulein, the last number you are trying so hard to read. Maybe it's best if you don't find it. It will save us all a lot of trouble.
Aquí, Comandante, the book.
Herr Richter, there are international rules of law governing...
Quiet. There are also local laws providing against breaking into and stealing public documents. I warn you most seriously. The treasure of the Toledo will be mine, and mine alone.
If you should be foolish enough to interfere, I don't have to tell you what will happen. Thank you. And good night.
Well, of all the crazy...
Take it easy, Paul. He looks like he might be serious. Evidently, you weren't the only one who found the clue to the Lost Toledo.
I can see those rubies on my nightgown walking right out of the window. And those pearls in my bag. I knew it sounded too good.
Not yet, Jean. I think that Herr Gustav Richter, late commander of the German Navy, is going to have some rough sailing ahead before he finds the sunken treasure. And by everything that's holy, we three are going to give it to him.
Part 2 of Strange Wills will continue in just a moment. And now back to Warren William and Treasure to Starboard. For the next 3 days, the cables between our island home and New York were kept exceptionally busy. Before the end of the week, huge quantities of deep-sea diving gear were being flown into Rosarita. We tried to trace our German friend, but he couldn't be found. I felt certain that we'd meet Herr Richter again, but I hoped we'd be more than ready for him. About 2 weeks later, when the last of our equipment was delivered, we called a meeting of our augmented crew, who were hired to man our ship. Some of them were imported from the States. They wore campaign ribbons and, well, you know our sailors.
We've got to be prepared for everything. Our ship is a floating arsenal as well as a scientific laboratory. Our treasure prize is high, and every one of us will share it if we find it. Are you ready?
You bet we are, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then. We'll leave port in an hour. I'll see you all on board.
In the captain's quarters aboard our ship, Paul, Jean, and I had another meeting.
I've got it all figured out to almost a mathematical certainty. I can bring this ship within 10 miles of where the Toledo went down. The rest is pure luck.
Do you think the Jerrys know we sailed, Paul?
That I don't know, but the word will get back to Herr Richter. Don't you worry. Maybe he's already on the way. But so what?
How's he going to get there?
Maybe he has a ship. Maybe he can use his sub. I don't know that. But getting there and staying there are going to be two different things. He'll find out.
We spent 2 quiet, uneventful days sailing to our destination. If it hadn't been for the tenseness on board, I could have had a lovely time. But with diamonds, rubies, and buried treasure, and a battle in the offing, well, how could anyone hope to rest? Near the end of the second day...
Come in.
Just picked up this message, sir, from the SS Juniper bound for Boston.
Thank you. SS Juniper reports sighting a strange submarine at 14 o'clock. Craft heading northeast by east. Refused to reply to radiograms. May possibly be an escaped Nazi sub. Be alert. Well, there's our answer. Herr Richter's on the way. We better be ready tomorrow when we meet him on the floor of the ocean.
We arrived at our calculated position sometime during the night and lay to. No sooner had we dropped our anchors than the crew took to the boats and began sounding operations to determine the depth of the water around us. They reported just at dawn.
90 fathoms, sir. We found a sharp decline about a quarter mile east. We were unable to reach bottom at that point, but our chart showed us to be a part of the Great Fissure, one of the deepest points in the entire Atlantic.
Thanks, Pete. Tell the first mate that I'll go down as soon as I've had breakfast. Tell him to have the gear ready.
Aye, sir.
After breakfast, Paul donned his gear and went over the side. Jean and I stood by the air pump and wondered what would happen below. Was the sub lying there? Would they locate the rotting hull of the Toledo? Would they find the treasure before us? These were anxious moments. Paul kept in constant touch through our sea phone.
Paul? Paul, can you hear me?
Still going down. Getting darker. Turning on my pressure light. Now on the bottom.
Oh, John, so far so good.
Yes, Jean, so far so good.
The wreck ahead, of our ship, has 2 stacks, circling to avoid fouling their lines. Reach the edge of the outer fissure and follow it. Water beyond fissure very black, very deep. Try not to slip.
Oh, Paul, darling, don't talk like that or I'll make you come right up.
I'll be careful, sweetheart. Just past the shark. Send his regards to Johnny Weissmuller.
I see that he doesn't send you along for a greeting card.
I see a wreck on the edge of the great fissure. An old one, covered with sand. Send down sand gun on rope.
It's coming right down, darling. Quick, he wants a sand gun sent down to him. It's on the way, Paul. Be careful now.
Going to blow a little sand away and see if I can discover the identity of the ship.
John, come here, please. Listen to the phone. Did you hear anything?
Let me listen. Paul, this is John. Listen. Come up at once. The sub is in the vicinity. We've just picked up the sound vibration. Hurry, man. Hurry.
I feel it too, John. Just a minute more. Getting a piece off this old hull. I'll bring it up. Okay, I've got it. Race away.
Start the wind. She's coming up. Hurry. 3 minutes of maddening delay, and then I saw his helmet break water. As busy hands unbolted his helmet, he gave us a little net, which he held in his hand. We took it eagerly, and there it was, a piece of old, decayed wood. But on it was a small brass plate, some old, rusted fitting that had seen the ocean bottom for many a year. I gave it to Jean, and she hurried to the laboratory to take off the corrosion. Naturally, I hurried with her.
Coming off. I can almost make it out, John. You see, there's an L, an O, T. Here it is, Toledo. The Toledo. We found it. We found it. Oh, John, I'm so happy. Let's hurry and tell Paul.
After Paul came out of the decompression chamber, he told us his story.
He's lying at the very edge of the fissure. You must be very careful, or it's possible that it may disappear entirely. There are tons of sand to be blown out. And then we'll know the answer.
But what about the sub, Paul? Good heavens, you don't mean to start blowing out sand with a mad German sitting alongside of you.
Well, we have to take that chance. I think we're better equipped, and if we work fast, we can be out of here in 2 days. Even before he finds out where the Toledo is lying. Right now, we have to float a buoy over the spot and pull out of here. Maybe we can throw them off the track. We'll come back later and then go to work.
Under the cover of darkness, we crept back to our position. Paul and 2 divers went over the side to begin the hazardous task of uncovering the ship. We agreed on complete silence, unless an emergency arose. I'll never forget how long that night lasted. Along about midnight, our worst fears were realized. Jean, the sub is on the prowl. Listen.
We've got to let him know. We've got to warn him.
Yes, tell him.
Paul? Can you hear me? Paul?
Can't stop the talk now, but we're inside ship. The left-covered iron chest. Hold on.
He won't listen, John. He won't. Wait a minute. John. I can't hear the sub. Stop.
Probably gone out of range.
Treasure to starboard. Treasure to starboard. We found the treasure of the Toledo.
Here, John, they found it. They found the treasure of the Toledo. Paul? Paul, answer me, Paul. Oh, John, something's gone wrong. The line is dead. Paul, answer. Are you all right? Paul? Paul?
5 interminable minutes dragged by on leaden feet. Not a sound came from Paul or from the divers down there with him. What had happened? How could we know? Then...
They came out of the escape hatch. That's what happened.
Take this phone, John. Don't stop listening for a moment.
Jean ran the length of the ship and disappeared. Paul's position was most precarious. We couldn't drop a depth charge. We couldn't do anything to help. I kept trying to reach Paul on the phone, but the line was apparently dead. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a diving helmet disappear over the side of our ship. I looked round for Jean. She was gone. And then I realized, too late, that she... I gave the earphones to a sailor and ran down the deck. Who was that? Went over the side just now.
That was Miss Medford, sir. She insisted on going down.
You fool! Why did you let her do that?
Well, she said she was the only one who knew how to detonate the underwater bomb, sir.
So that was it. Little Jean Medford going down to lick the sub crew single-handed. What a fool. What a brave, glorious little fool. I prayed as I had never prayed before. Everyone aboard leaned over the side of the ship, silently, looking down into the dark blue of the water. What was happening down there? Then, 200 yards off our stern, we saw an oil slick spread on the surface. She'd done it. She destroyed the sub. And what of the crew? It was either surrender or death. Later, Paul told us the story.
We saw them coming at us just after we'd uncovered the treasure. They had special equipment, compressed air helmets without airlines attached. They held long steel pikes in their hands. In the glow of our lights, we could see the outline of the sub. I thought sure it was curtains, till I saw someone sneak up to the sub and drop something down the escape hatch. The explosion knocked us all flat. Then I looked around. I saw the sub roll on its side, and the Toledo, well, she'd entirely disappeared. The blast had sent it tumbling down the fissure. The treasure went with it.
And the Germans?
For all I know, they're still walking back to land.
And so ended the quest for treasure to Starboard. Jean didn't get her rubies and pearls after all, but she's still very well satisfied because shortly after we returned to the States...
And to you, Jean Medford, take this man to be your lawful wedded husband, through sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, until death do you part.
I do.
Then by virtue of the authority vested in me, I pronounce you man and wife.
Darling.
Well, I did manage to get one diamond anyway, didn't I, dearest?
Warren William will be back in just a moment to tell you more about Treasure to Starboard. But first, here is a word from your announcer. And here again is Warren Williams.
Little did Captain Fernandez realize as he wrote his last will and testament in the ship's log on the night of March 12, 1703, that over 200 years later, men would still fight and die to recover the treasure that went down with him to the bottom of the sea. Will the treasure of the Toledo ever be relocated? Well, it depends on science and the brave daring of intrepid adventurers. We've managed to reach the stratosphere. Why not the unknown depths of the sea? Especially when it holds not one, but hundreds of treasures of inestimable value. Who will risk their lives to recover them? Will you? Next week, I'm going to tell you the story about a professor who believed that heredity is stronger than environment. Unfortunately, he put his nefarious belief to an actual test that involved the life of an innocent child. In order to prove his point to a doubting scientific world, the professor married a woman in whose veins coursed criminal blood for many generations. From this unholy union, a child was born to be reared as a lady. But from the very first, strange signs of bad blood cropped up in the child. What happened to her? Well, listen next week to the story we call One Shining Hour. This is Warren William inviting you to listen again next week.
Strange Wills is written by Ken Crepine and directed by Albert Ulrich. This is a Teleways feature produced in Hollywood.